This is the tale of Aldrich Stonevale, a giant, which in Bannerlord terms means he laughs at damage and takes about 10% of it, and his 9 trusted companions as they conquer Realm of Thrones, Bannerlord's Game of Thrones mode. Rules are as follows: no recruiting ordinary troops, companions only, no more than 10 heroes in the party, meaning no cheesing it with family members, no bending the knee to any kingdom, no recruiting clans after founding our own, no garrisons in fiefs, maximum difficulty with death and aging enabled. To make things spicier, we're combining this mod with Fourberie, a roguery mod that adds assassinations, escape scenes, and more, and Dramalord, a mod designed exclusively for gooners. Together, they reincarnate the true spirit of George R.R. Martin's dark fantasies. For the full mod list, you can check the description. Like my previous video, this one will also feature custom cinematics, because if I'm going to ruin my life playing this, I may as well give it a good story. So, without further ado, let's begin the campaign.
How did you capture this beast anyway?
Didn't really have to. He barely put up a fight. Kinda let us take him.
Imagine the money we'll make selling him to the Queen. He ain't very smart, is he?
Thanks for the ride.
Now that we'd escaped the camp, we were faced with a bigger problem: no gear, no food, and no money. Thankfully, King's Landing was just around the corner. Aldrich made his way toward the gates. The guards froze in horror at his sheer size. Taking advantage of their fear, Aldrich started quietly pickpocketing their coins. The King's Guard was slow to react, but one gold cloak finally caught our giant in the act. Steel hissed from scabbards as the city watch mobilized in seconds. Aldrich dodged their attacks and sprinted toward a horse tied outside the walls. But before he could ride the poor thing, the guards scared it off. Then they beat him bloody and tossed him into the dungeons of King's Landing. He managed to slip out of his cell soon after, but the main gate required a key. So Aldrich forged into a fly, scouting the guards' patrol routes. Of the 3 stationed nearby, only one ever moved, and that would be our target. Aldrich waited patiently until the guard passed by, then stabbed him from behind with his kitchen knife and disguised himself in the man's armor. How did it fit? Alteration magic. Next, he took out the second guard and walked past the third, blood slick across his 10-foot frame. Bro was probably too tired from endless shifts to notice, but the gate key was still missing, forcing Aldrich into a final duel. Block after block, slash after slash, the two traded blows in the dim corridors. Aldrich's swings grew slower with every wound. Eventually, the gold cloak brought him down. He was dragged back to his cell once again. The next day, his cellmate, Ned Stark, was taken away and executed. A shame, Aldrich had actually liked the guy. After that, the guards kept an even closer watch, making another escape impossible. Days passed. Then a noblewoman of Joffrey Baratheon's faction, Ansley Canning, visited him with an offer: freedom in exchange for services in her bedroom. Apparently, she liked it big, like very, very big. Aldrich obviously accepted, but what followed was so horrific it defies description. The result: Ansley became pregnant, despised Aldrich for it, and now carried a -46 relationship with him. Still, Aldrich was free, though he couldn't set foot in King's Landing again, not until the city watch cooled off. Actually, he couldn't set foot in any city ruled by Joffrey Baratheon. His criminal rating made sure of that. So, he set his sights on the nearest territory under different rule, Dragonstone, held by Stannis Baratheon. But before he could even reach the island, 2 bandit parties intercepted him. Aldrich offered everything he had, all 53 coins, but the bandits wanted more than gold. They wanted a prisoner. As their ship drew near, Aldrich stood waiting, naked, unarmed, and very annoyed. He tried throwing punches, but their iron blades tore through him with ease. Once again, he was captured. Luckily, salvation came swiftly. Stannis the Menace himself arrived to crush the bandits and free our giant. Aldrich thanked the One-True King and finally set foot on Dragonstone. A small boat carried him to shore. Through the sands, he trudged toward the city. Upon reaching the harbor, he got straight to work, pickpocketing any unsuspecting soul who crossed his path. Careful to avoid the guards this time. Even beggars weren't safe from his giant hands. Then he crossed the Great Bridge toward the city center, still swiping purses as he went. By the time he reached the gates and entered the marketplace, the place was packed with people, which meant countless pockets waiting to be emptied. After a while, Aldrich rested to let his wounds heal. Once he felt strong enough, he returned to the streets for more pickpocketing. That's when he encountered a group of suspicious men with disturbingly white eyes. Their leader introduced himself as Daniel the Bastard. Impressed by Aldrich's sheer size, Daniel offered him a chance to join the pit fights. "Easy money for a man like you," he said. But first, Aldrich had to prove himself by defeating a random person inside the tavern. He taunted a woman as he was already proficient at beating them from his previous life. Panic filled the tavern as everyone scattered in horror. Aldrich repeatedly kicked the woman in the face, not out of choice, but simply because he was too tall to throw proper punches. After a minute of pure suffering, she could no longer endure the smell of his feet. And with that, Aldrich earned his ticket to the pit fights. The first match, however, wouldn't begin until the following night. In the meantime, he joined the city's tournaments. No one even bothered giving him anything to cover his humongous chest. To vent his frustration, he repeatedly struck Stannis' wife, Celis Florant, into the dirt. Then the rest of the poor souls unfortunate enough to cross his path. The banner reward was useless, but we'd earned 1,600 gold dragons from the bets. Aldrich used the money to buy a horse and a saddle, then joined the pit fights later that night. The arena was a cramped cave, packed shoulder to shoulder with gamblers and drunks. Aldrich's sheer height gave him an absurd range advantage with his kicks, and if one connected with the head, it dealt triple damage and sent his opponent ragdolling to the ground. By simply standing still and kicking anyone dumb enough to get close, he defeated 4 opponents in a row, including the champion. Then came the group fights. Hitting enemies who didn't chase him turned out to be tricky, so Aldrich mostly stood around while his team did the work. They still won, but he didn't earn a single coin. Lame as hell. Still, he now had a daily paycheck of 74 gold dragons, which would grow as he ranked up his tier. With his earnings, Aldrich bought a sword, a shield, and some ropes to finally cover himself. Then another bandit group, 12 this time, ambushed him. But now, Aldrich had something to fight back with. Circling on horseback, he slashed through them one by one. These broken men, the lowest tier of bandits in the mod, had shields and bows, quite an upgrade from looters. When his sword proved too short for mounted combat, Aldrich dismounted and tore through the rest in a storm of steel and rage. When the dust settled, all 12 were dead. He finally had shoes to hide his smelly feet, and the rest of the loot sold for 500 coins. Not long after, another bandit party, 18 strong, attacked. Aldrich circled them again, cutting down several before their spears finally chipped away his health and brought him down. Another imprisonment. One day later, Aldrich managed to escape on his own, then signed up for another tournament, this time in Sharp Point. We earned a Dragonstone cape as the tournament reward, though Aldrich's athletic skill wasn't quite enough to wear it, just 10 points short of the requirement. So, we waited a few days and joined the pit fights of Sharp Point. Apparently, kicking and fisting your way through enemies gives athletics experience. After clearing every round, Aldrich finally leveled up enough to wear the cape. Next, I bought a simple bow and a handful of arrows, then attacked a bandit ship. The battle was over in seconds, and we earned a hood to finally cover our boldness. Then came another bandit ship, but this time we were surrounded and knocked down. Aldrich escaped on his own again. We laid low in Hull for a couple of days to recover our wounds, then joined its tournament and pit fights. We had finally reached the warrior tier, meaning Aldrich could now compete in any town, in any culture. Then another bandit party. Aldrich picked them off with his bow before finishing the rest with his sword, surviving with only a sliver of health left. More pit fights and tournaments followed. With the gold earned, we bought some civilian gear and began clearing out thugs inside towns. The trick was simple: start a fight, kill a few, then rush to the guards to end the brawl. Repeat until everyone's dead. After seeing Aldrich's might, some thugs decided to give up the criminal life and offered to join him. He refused. No ordinary men were allowed in his company. More gangs were wiped out. A few days later, the Riverlands joined the war against the Crown. We kept busy dealing with outlaws, and soon after, Aldrich reached 100 kills. His bow now fired 2 arrows instead of 1. How? Because of the Bloodlust mod. I didn't mention it at the beginning because it's better explained in action. It's basically a mod that rewards you, your companions, and every hero in the game as you rack up kills. In its default settings, it's quite fucking broken, but I think I tuned it perfectly, making heroes considerably stronger than regular troops without removing the overall challenge. Every 100 kills grant 1 health, 1% movement speed, more carry capacity, and 1 extra arrow per shot. I capped it at 3 arrows, which is historically plausible and doesn't break the game, meaning it maxes out at 200 kills. I kept the requirement low so our companions can actually start becoming useful earlier. Heal on kill is disabled, so every mistake on the battlefield is permanent. On top of that, siege speed is multiplied by 5 since our party is limited to 10 members. Without it, a single siege could take a year. It also makes the late game far less painful, giving our heroes a sense of constant progression. Overall, I think this mod is a must-have for our run. Next, we entered a tournament in King's Landing. Cersei Lannister herself was among the participants, and she happened to be on Aldrich's team. He watched as she struggled against her own guards. Somehow, she actually managed to beat them. I guess those hands are good for something other than fingering her brother in the bum. In the final round, Cersei and Aldrich were the only ones left standing. Aldrich didn't bother swinging his sword. Instead, he beat the queen by repeatedly kicking her across the arena. But Cersei fought back hard, nearly managing to knock him down before finally losing with just a sliver of Aldrich's health remaining. His reward was a Yeti armor, a sick-looking samurai set with even sicker stats. Aldrich was now level 10, and his focus points were already enough to nearly complete his build. Since we wouldn't be leading any armies, only combat skills mattered, along with scouting and a touch of medicine to recover health faster between battles. Then he wandered across King's Landing, from the Street of Steel to Flea Bottom to the Great Sept of Baelor, but found no one to pickpocket. I guess Joffrey had ordered a curfew or something, so Aldrich readied his sword and began pickpocketing the City Watch and the King's Guard instead. Fortunately, no one caught him this time. He even managed to steal one of the guard's swords. Then he entered the tavern and continued his thievery spree. Upstairs, on a suspiciously fancy bed, he found none other than Vilest the Spider.
Aldrich Stonevale, the giant who speaks. I've heard quite a lot about you.
Trust me, eunuch. If you'd heard enough, you'd have fled the city already.
Really? You don't seem all that threatening, not after that little fiasco with the City Watch.
Still getting used to walking. Feels weird after a century of flying.
Interesting. I see a potential partnership between you and me.
Fuck off, eunuch. I don't need no spiders on my back.
Aldrich left the city and returned to bandit hunting, this time against robber knights. Half of these bastards were mounted, heavily armored, and armed with long spears. The rest were infantry with short swords. But one by one, their parties fell, and Aldrich's bow skill climbed higher. During a tournament in Harroway, he earned a unicorn, a powerful beast with massive charge damage. Sadly, we didn't have the skill to ride it, so we sold it for 50,000 gold instead, multiplying our treasury 6-fold. More bandits slaughtered. Aldrich had now surpassed 200 kills, meaning his arrow count per shot was officially maxed. Then came the tournament in Riverrun, set atop a wooden platform over the river, followed by the pit fights. Then, crossing the wooden bridge, we entered the stone walls of Riverrun. The streets were crowded with people, all of whom fell victim to Aldrich's thievery. A group of thugs dining and drinking nearby met his brutal wrath. The rest of the city's gangs shared the same fate. After cleaning up Riverrun, Aldrich headed out and attacked a robber knight hideout set inside an abandoned fortress. He fell on them like a shadow. Inside Hornvale, Aldrich met a lost squire, Podrick Payne.
You carry yourself like a boy trying to be invisible. Yet your eyes betray you. Eyes that ache to be seen.
Everything I touch seems to slip away, my lord. Attention, it burns. The moment they look my way, it all falls apart. I'd rather stay unseen than watch another thing crumble because of me.
Not everything. You still hold your name, Podrick Payne.
7 hells, even that slips from tongues like a jest. Pain, it fits, doesn't it? Always a little pain, never any glory.
Do you know what men mock, Podrick? That which they fear might outgrow them.
Fear me? God, sir, I can't even tie my own boots. Why would anyone fear that?
Because every blade is clumsy until it's tasted blood and tempered by fire. You've yet to find your fire, boy, but I can give it to you.
And why? Why would you do that for me?
Because I see in you the same thing I once saw in myself. A boy the world deemed unworthy. I will make you more than a squire chasing shadows. I will make you a knight songs dare not leave unspoken.
A knight remembered in songs?
Nay, greater still, a warrior carved into history's marrow. Podrick Payne, the name men will spit in fear, and women will whisper in awe. And when the bards sing, they will tell not of a forgotten pain, but of the pain who rose higher than kings.
Then I swear it. Gods help me, I swear it. If you can make me more than this, more than a joke with a dull blade, I'll follow you to the end.
I will make you a great warrior, Podrick Payne. And when, at last, you are satisfied with yourself, when the boy you are is burned away, and only the man remains, our pact will be fulfilled, and your loyalty will eternally belong to me.
Aldrich bought Pod a bow, a quiver of arrows, a horse, and some armor. Then, together, they went hunting bandits. Podrick fought like a true warrior, slaughtering enemies left and right. It was as if something deep within him, something stronger, was guiding his hand. More and more bandit parties fell. Aldrich watched as Podrick trained relentlessly. He stumbled, fell, got back up, and kept fighting. Their path toward King's Landing was paved with corpses. The loot they gathered sold for 10,000 coins. With the profits, Aldrich took Podrick to the brothel and ordered him the cheapest whore available. Podrick was very grateful. So was the whore. More bandits slaughtered. During a tournament in Duskendale, they won a set of Lannister armor for Pod. Then, they turned their attention to the hill tribes of the Vale, fur-clad savages whose tiny shields were useless against our arrows. Soon, the long hills of the Vale were carpeted with their corpses. When they struck the hill tribes' hideout, Podrick single-handedly cleared it, leaving none alive. More battles followed, and by the end, Podrick had surpassed 200 kills. He'd become an expert archer and a formidable force on the battlefield.
It's done, my lord. Just as you taught me, I became something I couldn't even dream in my sleep.
Yes, my sweet boy. I always keep my promises.
But what's happening to me? My head, it won't stay still.
A tremor. Nothing more than the body remembering the fire that forged it. I have fulfilled my part. Now, it is your turn.
My turn. My lord, it feels as though something's crawling under my skin. What is this?
The binding. When you swore to follow me to the end, your soul heard every word. It is only now that the oath takes shape. Sinew, blood, and spirit entwine.
The oath? Gods, what are you saying?
You asked to be more than a joke, Podrick. To be seen, to be appreciated. And so you will. As long as you draw breath, nothing on this earth can harm me. Your life, your pain, they are my armor now.
My lord, I feel betrayed.
Rest easy, my knight. We are more than brothers now. We are one and the same.
Then the two cleared more bandit parties on their way to the Twins. Inside, Aldrich admired the colossal stone towers before founding the next member of his warband, Sandor Clegane.
What are you staring at, freak? Never seen a burnt face before.
I've seen worse. Faces flayed to bone. Eyes boiled out with oil. Your scars are not shame, Sandor Clegane. They are Proof.
Spare me the bloody poetry. Proof of what? That men are cruel bastards and the gods are blind? I already know that.
Proof that you lived, that you endure. Others screamed once and were ash by morning. You are still here, still breathing.
Breathing, drinking, and waiting to die. That's all. You want me to fight for you, stranger? You'll have better luck asking a dog to dance.
What if I make it worth your while?
Other than your giant ass, I don't see much to offer.
I know the truth that gnaws at you, Sandor. I know the name that curdles your blood every night you close your eyes.
Careful, stranger.
Gregor, the mountain, your brother.
Say it again and I'll cave your skull in.
I will give him to you. I will set your brother on his knees, bloodied and broken, and put the blade in your hand. You will end him yourself.
You're a mad bastard, but you can bargain. What's the price?
Loyalty. A pact between us. Stand with me, fight with me, and when the hour comes I will deliver Gregor Clegane to you.
And if you're lying?
Then may the gods flay me, burn me, and damn my name forever. I do not lie.
7 hells! I've followed lords and kings and everyone turned to shit. Maybe following a mad giant will be different.
Then swear it, Sandor Clegane. Bind your rage to me.
Aye, you bring me the mountain, and I'll be your hound.
Aldrich bought Sandor a bow and arrows, then let him loose on the bandits to sharpen his strength. After a few hunts, a message arrived. Aldrich's bastard child, born from the lady in King's Landing. Aldrich urged her to keep the boy, but refused to take him into the clan. He should grow alongside his mother. Soon after, they struck another robber knight hideout nestled deep inside the valley. An abandoned fortress filled with armored scum. Sandor cleared it by himself with his bow. He was getting frighteningly good at ranged combat. Later, in a Riverlands tournament, Aldrich and Sandor faced each other 3 times.
So we hunt bandits till we rot. You promised me Gregor's head.
No, we go mercenary in the Riverlands.
The Riverlands? I didn't sign up to serve some river cunt.
War makes killing lawful, Sandor. If we fight under a Riverlord's banner, we can kill Gregor in the name of war and get paid for it.
Make it clean. Give me his head.
And so, we signed on with Riverlord as mercenaries. Now, we could legally feed our companions with the poor souls of Westerland villagers. But while chasing one such group, 2 Lannister nobles intercepted us. 70 soldiers, most of them heavy cavalry. Aldrich's arrows couldn't pierce their armor or shields, so he focused on the infantry and archers instead. When he ran out of arrows and both Sandor and Podrick fell, he retreated, re-armed and attacked again. Still, their cavalry was too strong. Aldrich was captured and thrown into the dungeon of Hornvale. That night, he attempted escape. He slit the throat of a sitting guard, but the one inside the next room heard the noise. Still wounded, Aldrich wasn't strong enough to finish him off. Refusing to pay ransom, he stayed locked away. 3 days later, he tried again. Another guard dead. This time, the room behind was empty. Aldrich disguised himself in the guard's armor and slipped out into the night. The Lannisters were still hunting him. To move faster, he abandoned his sumpter horses and rode alone to Riverrun, where Podrick was waiting.
I knew they couldn't hold you for long, my lord.
The 2 then rode to Harroway to find Sandor.
Didn't expect to see you with your head still attached. Tough bastard, aren't you?
Killing me takes more than a few Lannister twats. Let's move.
They resumed their villager slaughter until they spotted a small Lannister party of 20, dragging prisoners and wounded soldiers from a recent skirmish. Aldrich tore through their cavalry. The rest fell easily. While sneaking into Stony Sept to sell their loot, another Lannister lord intercepted them. Aldrich challenged him to a duel for safe passage. The honorable fool accepted and was promptly cleaved in half by Aldrich's new 200 axe. They slipped into the city under disguise, but couldn't sell while undercover. So, naturally, they took their frustration out by killing more villagers and raiding their homes.
Killing those villagers, it feels wrong, my lord. They were innocent people.
Innocent. That's an illusion crafted for the weak. There is no innocence. The Lannisters are our enemy. And those people feed them, strengthen their armies with their sons and their taxes.
They don't get to choose, you know? They just do what they're told.
If a man's will cannot control his own actions, then why should his life be worth more than a sheep's?
Baldy's right, boy. The weak and the innocent are always the ones who get fucked first. That's the rule of the whole world.
Near Riverrun, they spotted an army of 500, led by none other than Gregor Clegane himself. Fortunately, Baldur Frey's force of 1,000 was nearby. Aldrich lured the mountain closer.
War is what I do best. Your men will fall before me like wheat before the scythe. No mercy, no retreat.
Though outnumbered 2 to 1, the Lannisters drew quality even scales. Aldrich rained arrows upon their cavalry, thinning their numbers, but the heavy horsemen still tore through the Riverlands infantry. Then he saw the mountain himself. The half-witted Fetty turned his horse the moment he saw Aldrich, but an arrow to the back dropped him like a sack of stone. By the way, this was the 3rd time I fought this battle. My PC shut down the first time and corrupted 2 hours of footage. Then the game crashed the second. Aldrich kept firing until his quiver ran dry, then dismounted to hack down enemy archers with his axe. He dealt heavy damage before being overwhelmed by sheer numbers. Sandor charged in to finish what Aldrich started. The battle was won. 3 prisoners were captured, but not the mountain. Later, a river lady agreed to exchange one of our captives for Gregor himself. Sandor finally took his long-awaited revenge, splitting the bastard's skull clean in half. The lords of Westeros despised us for it, but it was worth for our sweet hound. The battle leveled Aldrich twice, though he had no skills left to invest in. We sold our prisoners for 15,000, our loot for 30,000, and dismantled the weapons for materials.
It's done. God damn it, it's done. Never thought I'd live to see that bastard bleed.
You did more than see it, Sandor. You ended the monster that haunted your every breath.
I owe you. No lord, no king, no bloody god ever gave me what you did.
Only thing I ask is that you keep fighting beside me. There's still much justice to bring.
You really are a mad bastard, but maybe you're the only one left worth fighting for.
Joffrey had taken Stonehenge with his army of 800. Meanwhile, in Essos, Dothraki Kalasar was wiped out by the Mother of Dragons herself. Now, we needed a blacksmith, someone worthy of forging all the materials we'd gathered. Gendry.
There are smiths in this land who've spent half their lives at the forge, yet none hammer steel with the soul you do.
If you're eyeing my helm, forget it, that one's mine.
I've no need for trinkets, bastard. What I want is your gift to forge a weapon that could make even gods tremble.
So you insult me, then ask for my hands. You've got an odd way of hiring men.
You don't strike me as one content to spend your days mending pots in some alley. Come with me, and your work will outlive kingdoms. I offer you the hardest steel, and the wars to test it.
I don't swing a hammer for free. You want my craft, or you pay for it. Gold doesn't fall from the sky.
How much?
100,000 gold dragons.
And what would a boy like you do with such a fortune?
Let's just say there are debts to settle.
And who might you owe? Whoring and gambling like that drunken sow you call a father.
What did you say?
There are no secrets beyond my sight, boy. From the snows beyond the wall to the fires of the Dothraki Sea, I see all that breathes. Take your coin and your hammer. You've work to do.
We tried to lure Joffrey's army closer to Walder Frey's, hoping the old weasel would crush him. Instead, Walder turned tail and ran, despite outnumbering the spoiled bastard 2 to 1. So, we turned to raiding caravans and grinding tournaments to gather high-quality materials the safer way. With the Bannercraft mod, we could forge any armor or weapon in the game. I know the texts are looking buggy as fuck, but we'd fix that later. My initial plan was to craft giant clubs for Aldrich and his companions. Problem: they required a 200 skill of 200, so we hit the pit fights to grind our skill, but we still had a long way to go before wielding those monstrosities. In the meantime, we crafted Malekith's Black Blade from the Elden Ring equipment mod. Long, sleek, fast, deadly, it looked badass. Every hero in the company got one. Then we forged serpent bows, slightly weaker than noble bows but way cheaper to produce. We paired them with Elden Ring arrows, which had massive stack sizes compared to the vanilla ones. More tournaments followed. Then came the big one. We intercepted Joffrey's army alongside Walder Frey during the siege of Harrenhal, the cursed fortress. The enemy cavalry charged full speed to crush our lines, while our horse archers broke formation and retreated. Aldrich, never one to check the top right corner of the screen, killed several of our own allies with his arrows. Then the game crashed. We reloaded. Aldrich stopped the cavalry charge, thinning their ranks and felling Kingsguard and Lannister alike. When the main lines clashed, he dismounted to join the melee. He spotted Joffrey among the chaos, the golden twat surrounded by his guards. Aldrich fought through them one by one, but as soon as he got close, Joffrey tried to flee. One arrow to his horse's arse brought him down, and Aldrich finished the job with his new blade. Wave after wave of enemies broke against the Riverland's shield wall and fell. Then the lowborn Lannister infantry joined, followed by Sir Meryn Trant, who tasted Aldrich's arrow. Then the game crashed. Again. We reloaded, knocked Joffrey, fought for 10 minutes. When the battle was about to end, it crashed again. We reloaded once more. Aldrich emptied his quiver into the enemy cavalry, then carved through their archers with his blade. His elevated height made his swings awkward, so he dismounted, but it didn't take long before the Lannister cavalry swarmed and impaled him with their lances. All our companions fell too, without racking up kills. Still, the Riverlord somehow managed to finish off the remaining Lannisters. Battle 1, shocking, I know. Joffrey and 40 of his men escaped, but Aldrich soon caught up with the twat.
Ah, a subject who doesn't know that place.
All our heroes except Gendry were already healed to 30%, thanks to their medicine perks. Joffrey's troops were nothing but low-tier infantry. Aldrich shot him down again and mopped up the rest. We sold Joffrey and the other prisoners for 15,000, the loot for 20,000, and dismantled the weapons for materials. Then, it was time for upgrades. We began crafting Elden Ring armor for Aldrich. Not only did it look sick as fuck, but it was also leagues tougher than anything in Westeros or Calradica. After that, we raided more villages, partly to train our companions' kill counts, partly to grind Aldrich's two-handed skill. Then, we joined the defense of Derry, a desperate stand against an enemy army of 1,000. Aldrich rained volleys of arrows down as the Lannisters began scaling the ladders. Then, my game crashed. I loaded it again, and it crashed again. I had to decrease the battle size in the settings, at least until I found the real cause of the crashes. Smaller waves would obviously give us an advantage, but as you can see, I didn't really have much of a choice. When the game finally decided to cooperate, Aldrich managed to hold the right side of the castle with his arrows. The left side, though, was already breached in the first wave. He rushed over, carving through the intruders with his sword, then sprinted back to the ladders to clear the next assault. But before he could finish off the attackers, more Lannisters poured in from the left. Aldrich fell back toward the center courtyard. Within seconds, the defenders were wiped out, all except him. He kept firing, shredding shields and ragdolling Lannisters into the sky, but not every shield broke so easily. He kited the enemy around the castle with his increased speed, felling many of them until he ran out of arrows. Then he returned to the walls to refill them from the arrow barrel. Before the enemy could surround him, he jumped from the walls and continued firing while they circled to find the stairs. Some Lannisters cornered him from the back, but they were too slow to threaten him in an open area. The cycle repeated. Aldrich shot countless arrows while Lannisters did a slow, menacing walk with their shields raised high. Eventually, their crossbowmen got inside the castle from the broken gates. Aldrich had run out of arrows again. Lannister crossbowmen were starting to cause issues, breaking his near-invincible strategy. Aldrich drew his sword to clear them but began to get surrounded soon after. He kited them across the walls once again. His health was starting to get low. He couldn't reach that safe arrow barrel anymore, as it was surrounded by Lannisters. He continued to kite the enemy, climbing higher and higher until he met a dead end. As one last stand, he continued to fire his arrows, but before the enemy could have him, he jumped from the walls. His giant genes allowed him to survive the fall. Wounded and barely able to walk, he escaped toward the forest. Even though he left the battlefield, he was still captured. Why? Because Bannerlord is a shit game. Now we had lost all of our smithing materials and the immense loot we gathered. He refused to pay for his freedom. The enemy army traveled to besiege Harrenhal. Taking advantage of their distraction, Aldrich escaped and joined the defense of Harrenhal thanks to the break-in siege without troop loss mode. Without it, you can't join defenses if you don't have troops in your party, making a pure companion only run practically impossible. The enemy started their assault after building a battering ram. First, Aldrich cleared the infantry formation on the left. Then, he joined the right side to repel the attackers from the walls. The enemy fled shortly after. Loot sold for 30,000 and prisoners for 20. Now it was time to reunite the war band. The Hound had already escaped and was resting at the Twins, but Podrick and Gendry were still captive. Not long after, a messenger arrived, demanding 5,000 gold dragons for Gendry's release. Aldrich paid the ransom without hesitation, but Gendry still needed time to heal before he could rejoin the party. Meanwhile, Aldrich joined Walder Frey's army in the siege of Duskendale. After shooting 2 arrows, crash. I lowered my settings even further, shot 3 arrows this time, crash again. I checked the log files, and right before every crash, they were filled with one line over and over again. Delete, rigid body. So, I disabled Artem's lively animations, hot butter, and every other mod that could possibly touch a hero's skeleton or animations. Guess what? Nothing changed. The game was still crashing. I reinstalled my drivers, verified the game files, reinstalled Realm of Thrones, and the fucking game still kept crashing. So I went to Discord and sent my crash logs to the moderators. They told me to try specific module versions for Harmony and Butterlip. You guessed it, nothing fucking changed. As a last resort, I reverted my Realm of Thrones version back to 6.2, the public release. Mine was 6.3.3, the Patreon version. I used character reload to copy my characters over, making sure all the skills, armor, inventory, money, and even the world state stayed exactly the same. Then I started creating massive infantry armies to regain my lost kill counts. At first, everything seemed fine, and then it fucking crashed again. Only then did it hit me. Every single crash had happened at night. And which one of my mods depends on nighttime lighting? Perfect fire arrows. The tiniest mod in my entire load order, one that just lit arrows in the dark, was the real traitor. Combined with Reshade, it was probably overloading my GPU with fire particles until the game exploded. So, I deleted Perfect Fire Arrows and uninstalled Reshade. Then I reinstalled Realm of Thrones version 6.3.3 and returned to the original save, right where we'd been stuck in the siege of Duskendale. The game looked so disgustingly bad without Reshade that I genuinely almost threw up. But we did it. We finally conquered Duskendale without the Lord of Crashes fucking us in the ass. Then I re-enabled Reshade and ran the battle again, and it still didn't crash. After days of debugging, reinstalling, testing and losing brain cells, it turned out the cause was this tiny insignificant mod. My disappointment was immeasurable, and my days were ruined, and only you can ease my suffering by smashing that subscribe button like it's Joffrey's tiny smug little head. Oh, and by the way, the visual bug with Bannercraft also fixed after I moved it above Realm of Thrones in the load order. Then we joined the siege of Derry to rescue our beloved Podrick. Aldrich's arrows rained down upon the defenders, tearing through the garrison long before the ram even reached the gate.
I don't even know what to say, my lord. You could have left me, but you didn't. No one's ever done that for me before. I'll do better, I swear it.
I don't waste what's mine, Podrick. You've still got a purpose to serve.
Podrick still needed time to recover. In the meantime, Aldrich rode across the war-torn lands to reunite with his companions, cutting down countless bands of outlaws along the way. Inside the Tavern of Fair Market, he found Gendry, then Sandor inside the Twins. Once reunited, the warband began dismantling every weapon they had gathered. But then a scandal blackened their names, increasing their criminal rating in King's Landing. Undeterred, they struck another robber knight hideout, then finally reunited with Podrick inside Salt Pans. That same day, all looted weapons were smelted down to their last scrap of steel. Now that Aldrich had surpassed 200 in two-handed skill, he could finally craft giant clubs, thanks to Gendry's masterful 295 smithing. All could wield it, all except Podrick, who still needed more training. With their weapons forged, the band set sail for Essos, cutting through pirate fleets along the way. They bought some elden armor for each companion, and for Aldrich, a malformed dragon horse, a creature fit for a monster. Next, we let Gendry test out the new giant clubs on pirate skulls. No shield could hold against that thing. It had 380 blunt damage, basically a god-tier sledgehammer. It could wipe everything in a 180-degree swing. Nothing in Westeros, Essos, or even the lands between could compare to that kind of power. They entered every tournament they crossed, spreading Aldrich's name across the free cities like wildfire. Then came the grim tidings: Rickard Karstark executed by Robb Stark, and the Karstark's betrayal of the North. The young wolf's host weakened by the day. Meanwhile, Gendry kept slaughtering pirates left and right, quickly surpassing Sandor Clegane in kills. We kept buying more Elden Ring gear to make the boys even stronger. Then Aldrich switched all his combat gear to his civilian layout and entered Mentories. An old friend had sent word about a silver-haired man Aldrich would want to meet hiding somewhere in the city. So Aldrich voyaged into a bird and started scouting street by street. He spotted the silver-haired man easily enough, but finding his old friend was the real pain in the ass. I swear, he was much easier to find in the test runs. After 10 minutes of pure suffering, we finally found his old brown fat ass.
You remember that dragon egg I told you about? Won it fair and square in lease. Dice never rolled that sweet for me again in 10 bloody years.
And then you lost it.
Didn't lose it. It was stolen. Some silver-haired bastard took it, claimed he was a true son of Valyria. Said the egg belonged to his blood. I should have gutted him then.
And now?
He's back. Same silver snake, but this time with wings at his back. The dragon hatched Aldrich, big as a damn ship now.
And you want me to take it from him? What's your gain?
Better that beast be ridden by someone I know than that smug thief. And gods know your crusade could use a bit of fire.
Do I look like I need a dragon, Gimli?
Well, it wouldn't hurt to have one.
Aye. Then show me the thief, Gimli, before I start with you.
Gods, I miss those times when you were all small and cute.
He scouted the city once again, and there he found a silver-haired thief.
Tell me, would it still be theft if I stole from a thief?
You threaten a dragon, you die like a sheep.
The smug bastard was surprisingly tanky, but still couldn't do much against 3 warriors ambushing him. And just like that, we had ourselves a dragon, Rhaegar. Aldrich mounted the Crimson Beast and flew north, toward the kingdom of Sarnor, where he swore his sword as a mercenary under a Dothraki war maiden with a magnificent pair of boulders. The reason was simple: to earn the right to face Daenerys Targaryen, the mother of dragons, our only remaining source of fresh dragons. Our first target was Raid Bet, an unsullied commander with a band of Dothraki raiders at his side. Rhaegar stormed through their horsed archers, unhorsing them and turning them into easy prey for our companions. The unsullied soul followed, burned to ash beneath Rhaegar's flames. We then handed Rhaegar's reins to Sandor to help him rack up kills faster, and set upon another of Daenerys' bannermen, another easy victory for our mighty dragon. Not long after, we came across Daario Naharis, the male concubine of the Dragon Queen, leading 100 men, not nearly enough to challenge Rhaegar. Soon after, we ran into Redbat again. The eunuch had already rebuilt his army after being ransomed. We struck once more, though this time Rhaegar and Sandor managed to wedge themselves inside a tree. Aldrich sighed, drew his great weapon, and handled the entire army alone. Afterward, we went back to dismantling the loot as usual, but before long, word came that our kingdom had made peace with Daenerys Targaryen, along with every other realm that held land, meaning we couldn't attack her while hiding behind a mercenary contract anymore.
Well,
Aldrich muttered,
let her cuddle her dragons a little longer, I suppose.
By then, Sandor had reached his goal of 300 kills, leaving only Gendry behind. So, we sent the blacksmith back to the pirate coast to grind more heads as his riding skill still wasn't enough to ride a dragon. Then, a messenger arrived, informing us that Stannis had turned to a red priestess of R'hllor, a fire witch who supposedly wielded the power of the Lord of Light. Rumor was they planned to defeat Renly Baratheon using dark magic.
My lord, what do you make of the Lord of Light? They say he brings people back.
Brings them back, aye. just to suffer longer in his bloody little game. Fire burns, war rages, children scream, all in his name. If gods exist, he's the one laughing while men burn.
Sounds about right. Every time someone says his name, someone else gets cooked.
Aye, but what about the Seven? My mum used to pray to them. Said they watched over honest folk.
The Seven, masks on the same liar's face. They preach virtue to peasants and bless kings who slaughter them. If they watch over anyone, it's themselves.
Then, the old gods, the ones in the trees, the Northmen say they still whisper.
Whispers of the dead, nothing more. The trees rot, their roots drink from graves. The old gods had their time. It ended when men built walls around their forests.
So, what do you believe in, then?
Nothing that calls itself a god. If something's out there, it feeds on our faith like leeches feed on blood. Maybe the Lord of Lights, the hungriest of them all, bleeding the world dry, one miracle at a time.
That's a grim thought.
Truth usually is. Faith's just comfort wrapped in chains. Some wear it gladly. I broke mine a long time ago.
The boys continued dismantling weapons and refining materials for that sweet Tamaskeen steel. After crafting 9 of them, Gendry forged a giant bow and 2 giant arrows. Aldrich equipped them, and we kept refining, joining tournaments along the way to gather more materials and gold. Eventually, we sailed back to Westeros. Inside Sunspear, we found 2 giant bows for sale, each costing 500,000 gold dragons, more than our entire treasury combined. After more refining, Gendry crafted another giant bow and arrows for himself. We kept hitting tournaments across Dorne and the Reach, and later found another giant bow in Old Town, same price, 500,000. To fund the gear, we started crafting tier 3 Baratheon clothes. Cheap to make, easy profit, around 1,000 coins each. After a few batches, we finally had enough to buy the giant bow, which left us with a glorious total of 8,000 dragons to our name. More smithing followed, more tournaments, hundreds of hardwoods burned, hundreds of opponents beaten. Then another messenger arrived. Renly Baratheon was dead, slain in his own tent by a shadow that wore his brother's face. With that, the Stormlands fell, their bannerman bending the knee to Stannis.
Ruthless bastard,
Aldrich muttered under his breath. Weeks passed as we kept smithing. Eventually, all our heroes were armed with giant weapons. Then, we went looking for Stannis Baratheon. He was besieging Tumbleton with 2,000 men. We waited for him to finish the siege, then entered the halls of Tumbleton and joined his kingdom as mercenaries.
Speak plainly. Your duty is not to delay me.
Thought you hated the Fire God. Now we're fighting for his Red Witch's king.
I do hate him, but personal feelings have no place in the Game of Thrones. Stannis, sitting on that iron chair, is a key piece in a much greater plan.
What plan?
A plan to bring eternal peace to these blood-soaked lands.
You sound just like those priests, all talk of destiny and eternity.
Difference is, Sandor, I don't pray for it, I build it.
We started working quickly by hunting down the lords of the Reach with Rhaegar. Meanwhile, in the north, Jorah Mormont was killed by his own men at Craster's Keep, and Alyssa Thorne became the new Lord Commander. 4 lords defeated, then we found Margaery Tyrell with an army of 150 behind her. Soldiers burned, nobles ransomed. Then the undead swarmed the Fist of the First Man, conquering their first fief. Next came Loras Tyrell with 200 men burned beneath Rhaegar's fire. Then Mace Tyrell followed, 300 soldiers strong, same fate. More lords defeated, all ransomed, weapons dismantled. We joined the siege alongside Baratheon forces, crushing the gate with Rhaegar's breath and clearing the rest with Aldrich's club. More sieges followed with the same strategy. Then it was time to weaken the forces of the crown. We attacked Meryn Trant's party and took him prisoner. Then Joffrey Baratheon himself, alongside his army of 300. More smaller parties followed, their lords captured one by one. Meanwhile, in Essos, the kingdom of Qohor was destroyed. Then we captured Rosby. Next, we helped a cornered Baratheon army of 400 against a Lannister force of 900. Among them was Yara Greyjoy, Theon's sister, now married to a Lannister lord and pregnant with his child. The Lannisters' strongest force, Their heavy cavalry tried to cross the river but got roasted by Drakkar. In seconds, they retreated to regroup with reinforcements. We crossed the river and handled the rest. Lannisters couldn't do much against a dragon without a ranged heavy army. I know. A single dragon seems enough to conquer the whole world right now, but wait until we face hundreds of Dothraki horse archers and other ranged heavy armies. They'll stunlock our poor beast into oblivion and abuse him without giving him a chance to fight back. There is also a way to make our dragon fly, but we're keeping him grounded for balance reasons. Also, you can't be on lower ground than your target for the dragon to breathe fire, probably to stop its chin from clipping through the terrain. Anyway, battle was won. Many lords were imprisoned, including Yara, Lancel Lannister and Tywin himself. We also rescued plenty of prisoners from the Lannisters. Then finally, a messenger arrived. The big day was coming. Stannis and his fleet of hundreds were sailing toward King's Landing for the Battle of Blackwater. While they were still at sea, we joined the siege of Harroway, smashed the gate, crushed the militia, reduced them to bone and dust. Then we helped a Riverlands army defeat Kevan Lannister's 600 men. Soon after, another messenger came. The wildfire bombardment had begun against Stannis' fleet. Aldrich rushed to aid the Menace and his army of 4,000. Now I'll stay quiet and let you enjoy the full cinematic experience of this glorious battle. Was won. King's Landing was conquered. Aldrich raked up 700 kills out of 1,100 total, and now the Seven Kingdoms had a new ruler.
History will remember this day, Aldrich Stonevale, and it will remember you, the unstoppable giant tempered by cunning and intelligence.
Yes, Your Grace.
Do you recall when we first met? I pulled you from a pack of stinking looters, and now here you stand, a dragon at your side, 3 heroes behind you, all gleaming in their finest steel. You've come a long way, friend.
You honor me, Your Grace.
Being a mercenary ill suits a man of your talents. Bend the knee, Aldrich. Serve me, and I'll name you Hand, the second most powerful man in Westeros.
Bend the knee. Second. Forgive me, Your Grace, but the only reason you sit that throne is because I no longer care for things built by men.
Mind your tongue when speaking to the rightful king of the Andals and the—
Shut up, Ronald. Then tell me, Giant, why did you help me?
My reasons are my own. Enjoy your reign while it lasts, Your Grace. I doubt it will be long.
Get out, take your dogs and leave my city. I never wish to see your face again.
I can't promise the second part, but I'll leave as asked. Take care, Your Grace.
Stannis' ascent to the throne resulted in the death of Joffrey. Hope it was slow and painful. Now Cersei sat as queen, and all Lannister forces had pulled back to the Westerlands. We traveled back to Essos, and inside Celeris, we found Benjen Stark.
Strange sight. A crow south of the wall. Feathered in black, yet hiding like a deserter.
I am no deserter.
You left your post. That makes you one, unless your reason outweighs your oath.
My oath was to guard the realms of men, not to sit on cold stones while my blood is butchered like cattle.
Speak plain, Stark.
Robb, the boy I watched grow into a man, now leading men to war, wearing a crown too heavy for his years. They whisper of a feast, a wedding, but I know treachery when I taste it on the air. He rides blind into a slaughter.
I've heard such rumors.
I swore an oath to the Watch, aye. But I swore a greater one long before, to my kin, to my blood, to the North itself. I failed Lyanna, I failed Brandon, I failed Ned. I'll not fail Robb, not while I still draw breath.
I know you won't, Benjen.
We share a closer bond than you think.
Robb is more than my nephew. He is the hope of House Stark, the shield of Winterfell. If he falls, the wolves fall with him, and I will do anything to prevent it.
Then let's make a pact. I will protect Robb Stark. In return, your blood and your blade will be sworn to me.
The Watch will brand me Oathbreaker, but better an Oathbreaker than a Kinslayer by silence.
Honor dwells in the heart, not in the gossip of men. Come, Benjen, let's save a king.
Naturally, we bought him some Elden armor. While moving from town to town searching for better gear, we stumbled upon another giant south of the wall, Siabaa. Legend has it, he was a member of a YouTube channel called Bannerlord, which led to his name being bestowed upon a companion. You too can become a companion in the next video. Just click that tiny button right next to subscribe. Anyway, Aldrich entered the tavern to finally meet an equal.
Man giant, you speak soft. Words too many. I speak so others may listen, and I listen so others may speak. What do you want, Siabaa of the Wild? Vengeance. Alisa. Black Crow. Killed her. My mate. My blood. She screamed. He laughed. She died. Alliser Thorn. Cruelty festers in him like rot. Kill him. You. Me. Crush his bones. Tear him. Make him big. And in return, I fight. I bleed. I follow. Back. Then hear me, Siabaa. Together, your vengeance will be sated. And when it is done, you will stand with me, your strength bound to my cause, your fury turned into my will.
You can't seriously mean to kill the Lord Commander of the Night's Watch.
Justice answers to no colors, Benjen. A man must pay for his crimes whether he wears black or not. Crow must pay. Blood for blood.
Declaring war on the Watch will make you the realm's enemy. You must not allow this.
Don't worry. We will make it clean. Focus on what matters. Saving Robb Stark.
Very well. But you swear it, no other brother of the Night's Watch will die for this.
Fine.
After recruiting the beast for 300,000, we bought him some Elden Sentinel armor, fitting for his towering frame. Then we handed both him and Benjen their new giant weapons. And then it all went to shit. Shadowplay decided to stop recording entirely, so we had to redo this and quite a few other moments, including the Red Wedding itself, from an older save. I swear, the gods are testing my patience. So we switched to OBS and started over. Siabaa now had wings and Benjen a nice new cloak. Soon after, we found Robb Stark leading his war against the Iron Islands. We entered the halls of Darktide.
There will never be peace until I avenge my father. Tywin's armies will fall, one by one. I will have Joffrey's head on a pike.
Robb offered to marry Sansa to Aldrich, hoping to add some giant blood to House Stark. But Aldrich refused, sparing the young girl from a lifetime of trauma and back pain, and instead joined Robb's war as a mercenary. Strictly for the money. Our first task was to take down an Ironborn fleet of 400. 2 of their ships pulled up to board us. Aldrich washed into Siabaa to let him farm some kills, but those Ironborn shields were tough. Despite fighting valiantly, Siabaa eventually fell. Then Aldrich took over, his speed and bow doing the work of 100 men, clearing the deck until it was carpeted with Ironborn corpses. Only Aldrich, Benjen and Gendry were left standing. 2 more ships approached. Their lower tier troops went down fast under a hail of giant arrows, and the survivors met the business end of Aldrich's club. The sea turned red that day. Not long after, a messenger arrived from Essos. This had been destroyed by Tyrosh. We handed Rhaegar's reins to Benjen and intercepted another Ironborn army that had just landed, led by none other than Balon Greyjoy. Their king, Benjen, bathed them in fire, turning their bodies to ash and racking up 350 kills in the process. Next, Aldrich led a siege on Hammerhorn with only his companions. Rhaegar couldn't burn the gate thanks to the high ground bug, so we had to go old school and climb ladders. Their militia never stood a chance against our giant clubs and Elden armor. The castle fell in seconds, with Siabaa scoring 80 kills. After selling the loot at 10 towers, our heroes traveled to the Twins. Aldrich gazed upon the infamous towers once again. There, our heroes put the pieces together. Roose Bolton and Walder Frey were planning to murder Robb Stark and his kin during Edmure Tully's wedding. The party began hunting bandits nearby while waiting for the fateful day. Finally, Robb arrived at the Twins. Before the ceremony, Aldrich slipped into his room and revealed the plot against him. Problem was, they were surrounded by Frey and Bolton soldiers, so Aldrich told Robb to stay put and cleared the bastards himself. Another red wedding, though this time a very different kind of blood was spilled.
You saved my life, Lord Aldrich. I will be in your debt for as long as I live.
We now had a 100 relationship with Robb Stark. Surely, this would prevent him from betraying us later. So, we did the red wedding for the third time. Saving Robb meant the Boltons and Freys joined the Lannisters instead. If we hadn't saved him, the Lannisters would have become absurdly overpowered by taking the entire north under their control. Anyway, we marched north toward Castle Black to fulfill Siabaa's wish. Meanwhile, the Night King continued his conquest beyond the wall, taking down Wildling's fiefs one by one. He had already converted Edison Toilet and Mance Raider into White Walkers, meaning the Wildlings couldn't attack the wall in our playthrough, not without the King beyond the wall to unite them. A shame, really. It would have been fun helping them storm the wall. The Night's Watch led our heroes through the gates of Castle Black, thanks to our alliance with the North. There, they began plotting how to kill Alliser Thorne.
Crow here. Me kill him.
Along with the entire Watch, are you mad?
Hold, Siabaa. Your vengeance will come. But we strike the rot, not the root. We will not soil our name.
Then Aldrich rode the elevator and took a long look at the edge of the world. The last time he was here, it had changed him forever. To lighten the mood, we entertained the Brothers of the Watch by joining their tournament. A final duel between Benjen and Aldrich earned us 9 more renown for the clan. Then we crossed the wall, with the Night King and 2,000 undead lurking behind us. First thing we did was rush to Tormund Giantsbane.
They call me Tormund Giantsbane. Want to know why? When I was 10, I killed a giant. Then I climbed into bed with his wife. When she woke up, she thought I was a baby and suckled me at her teat for 3 months. That's how I got so strong. Giant's milk.
We had a wholesome chat about generosity, after which he offered Aldrich the hand of Squirrel, a 19-year-old woman from his clan. Aldrich refused. He had a much stronger free woman in mind. After that, we signed on as mercenaries for the Wildlings and helped them reclaim their lands from the Night's Watch. Soon, we found Corin Halfhand leading an army of 500. Rhaegar gave them the warmth they'd been missing. Not quite what Benjen had in mind, but at least all the captured commanders were released afterward. Then came a White Walker named Erok, leading 1,400 undead. With barely any cavalry or ranged troops, his army was scorched with ease. Don't worry, when the time comes to face the Night King, his army will be much nastier, and the battle size far less forgiving. Our companions also racked up an impressive number of kills, their giant arrows piercing everything in sight. Erok himself survived. Well, not survived, but you get the idea. White Walkers can't truly die until day 500 when the long night begins. Finally, we found the Vile Crow, Alliser Thorne, leading an army of 400 to besiege a Wildling castle. Aldrich dismounted Rhaegar and painted the frozen forest with crow blood. All captured commanders, including Gran, were released afterward. Then we bought Alliser Thorne from Squirrel, the same woman Tormund once asked us to marry.
I fought. I lost. Now I rest.
With Rhaegar's breath, Alliser met a quick but brutal end. Aldrich's promise to Siabaa was finally fulfilled. A few days later, disaster struck. Our food was poisoned by the Night's Watch, wounding our heroes and destroying our food stock. With the Fourberie mod, clans that despise you, whether for executing their members or committing other questionable acts, have plenty of ways to get their revenge. Poisoning, blackmail, false scandals, even assassinations, adding a new layer to the gameplay. Not long after, we found Cotter Pike, another brother of the Watch turned White Walker, leading 400 undead. Draekar's flames took care of them easily, reducing the cursed brothers to cinders. Aldrich's fame among the wildlings grew rapidly, especially among their women, and then, inside the halls of Hornfoot, he found her, the one redhead fierce enough to be his wild queen, Ygritte.
What's a giant want with me? Don't tell me it's my arrows. You've got arms big enough to snap a weirwood in half.
What is power, if you've no one to share it with?
Then find someone your size. You'd snap me in half too.
Don't worry, my beautiful flame. I'm not that big down there.
Well, that's disappointing.
Aldrich spent days in Hornfoot, flirting and falling deeper for Ygritte.
You know nothing, Aldrich Stonevale.
Maybe so, but I know enough to see fire worth burning for.
Ha, smooth words for a giant.
Their nights together soon led to Ygritte carrying Aldrich's child. Aldrich rushed to seek her clan's blessing from Tormund Giantsbane, who sat on his chair in the next room, naked and looking gay as fuck.
You want Ygritte? Gods, you've got taste. Just promise me, Aldrich, no half-giant bairns that'll drink all my mead.
And with that, the Giant of the South and the Flame of the North were married. But her hand didn't come for free. Aldrich had made another promise, to capture Jon Snow, Ygritte's ex-lover, and let her do whatever she wanted with him. We handed her the giant weapons. Our queen was already skilled enough to wield them all. Then we bought her some Elden armor, not exactly the most feminine look, but protection comes first. Then we rode out to find Jon Snow. We found him besieging Hornfoot with 300 men, infantry scorched, archers crushed under the club. Jon was captured. Ygritte kicked him in the balls and spat in his face. His humiliation was enough to satisfy her, but his shiny sword caught Aldrich's eye. So he took Longclaw and gifted it to Sandor for his civilian fights. The White Wolf was released afterward, though he still hated us for stealing his Valyrian steel.
7 hells, Aldrich. You didn't need to do the boy that dirty.
With Alistair's death, Karl Tanner had become the new Lord Commander. I guess the Brothers of the Watch just can't bring themselves to vote for anyone with a functioning brain. Speaking of functioning brains, it was time to find another member for our cause. We traveled back to Essos, to Illyria. Inside, we found Theon Greyjoy, broken and lost.
Greyjoy.
If you've come to mock me, get on with it. I've heard every name a broken man can wear. Reek, traitor, coward. Take your pick.
I've come for none of those. I see not a broken man, but one merely bent, and a bent sword can be straightened again, with enough will.
You don't know what he did to me. Ramsay took more than my name. He took the man I was, butchered him, and left this husk behind.
Ramsay Bolton, a sadist soul, tormentor of the weak, to inflict pain for pleasure. That is sin beyond forgiveness, an insult to nature itself. He will pay for all he's done, if only you will it.
Revenge? Do you think me strong enough? Look at me, giant. I can barely hold a blade, let alone slit the throat of the bastard who broke me.
Strength is not only in the arm, it's in the will to rise again. I can make you whole. I can shape you into more than the boy you were. The world will know Theon Greyjoy once more. Not Reek, not Husk, Greyjoy.
And in return, men like you don't give without taking.
Your loyalty will suffice.
Even though Ramsay broke him, Theon was still skilled enough to wield all the giant weapons. After giving him a horse and some Elden armor, he was ready for battle. We tested him inside a tournament. He proved he was tough. Then a messenger arrived, informing us that Stannis was marching to the wall to aid the Night's Watch. Another messenger brought even stranger news. Theon's baby had been born. How he managed that after Ramsay's butchery was beyond me. The mother was a Valyrian noblewoman from House Targaryen of Aegon. Who is Aegon Targaryen if not Jon Snow? You might ask. We'll get to that later in the video. We traveled to Winterfell and walked through the Lord's Hall. Inside sat the redhead Sansa Stark, right beside our own redhead, Ygritte.
I am Sansa Stark of Winterfell, daughter of Eddard and Catelyn Stark. What business do you have with a lady of the North?
She had married a rich lord named Eric after Aldrich refused her brother's proposal. Anyway, through her, we became mercenaries for the North once again. Next, we headed to the Dreadfort, home of the Boltons, and slipped inside by bribing the guards. We climbed the walls and started cutting down the Bolton sentries with our two-handed sword. The commotion drew more of them, but we cut through each one. Then disguised Aldrich in their armor. The disguise barely hid his enormous neck, but Boltons aren't exactly known for their intellect. We made our way toward the Lord's Hall. Inside was only one Bolton, not Ramsay, not Roose, but a young woman named Belena. We killed her and every guard protecting her, their corpses soon decorating the cursed hall. Then we made our way outside, only for the game to crash seconds later. Guess Realm of Thrones doesn't play nice with Fourberie assassinations. Reloaded the save, started hunting for Ramsay again. He was down south. On the way, we defended Sisterton against a Lannister army. After piercing through their shield walls with giant arrows, the enemy broke almost instantly. Easy influence, easy money. More armies followed. Every companion nearly maxed out their bow skill by the end of it. We entered the halls of Harroway to greet the king in the north, Robb Stark. Our relationship had dropped to 70 after we executed Alistair Thorne. The usual honorable Stark bullshit. He'll probably hate us even more once we deal with Ramsay. Speaking of which, a messenger arrived. Roose Bolton was dead, and Ramsay had gone from bastard to Lord of the Dreadfort. Then Ygritte gave birth to Aldrich's first child. He almost broke the bed and his poor wife by sitting on her lap. The baby was a girl named Frenya. Next, we besieged the twins. Rhaegar's fire crushed the gates from flat ground, and Aldrich cut through the unsuspecting infantry. Then, he helped his companions climb the ladder by skewering the defenders on the walls from behind with giant arrows. The rest fled outside, but none escaped the slaughter. Then, we found Belena, the Bolton lady we tried to assassinate earlier. Aldrich spared her this time, but Ramsay was still nowhere to be found. Traveling incognito, word must have reached him that Theon was with us. We marched to the Dreadfort in hopes of finding him. The garrison and Walda Frey, Ramsay's stepmother, charged out to meet us. Their massive shields didn't save them from giant arrows and dragonfire. We released Walda, she'd suffered enough, and continued the siege. With the garrison gone, the militia fell quickly. Still no sign of Ramsay. At least now he was a fugitive instead of hiding. Maybe he'd show himself after a few days. We besieged Carhold next. Just like before, the garrison sallied out, and just like before, we painted the ground red. During the assault, Sandor accidentally one-shotted Aldrich with a stray arrow while he was at half health. I guess the real danger was the friends we made along the way. Luckily, our companions handled the rest, and Theon racked up a few kills in the process. With that, the entire North was united under one banner once again, a key step for our late-game strategy, as you'll soon see. Finally, Ramsay had the guts to lead a party, but before we could reach him, a notification popped up. The Boltons had declared war on the North. Apparently, the Lannisters had kicked them out of their kingdom for sheer incompetence. After days of chasing him across the Westerlands, we finally found Ramsay. His red flayed armor looked magnificent. Shame it belonged to such a cunt. We crushed his army of 200 with ease and captured him.
You think killing me ends it? My laughter will haunt your sleep long after I'm gone.
Finally, Theon's suffering was avenged in fire.
I'll never be who I was, but thanks to you, I'm no longer Reek.
Men giant bring justice. Bad men cry. Good men rise.
Now it was time to bring a lady into this sausage party. Outside of our wife, Ygritte, of course, we traveled to King's Landing and joined its tournament. A lady named Brienne of Tarth made it all the way to the semi-finals, where she faced Siabaa. Obviously, she lost, but standing against our beast was an achievement on its own. Speaking of which, the duel between Siabaa and Aldrich in the finals was easily the dumbest fight in Westerosi history. Two giants swinging tiny swords at each other, neither able to deal damage. After minutes of mindless left-click spamming, Aldrich gave up and let Siabaa win. Later, Aldrich sat down to talk with the tall, impressive woman who'd caught his attention.
You did an impressive job at the tourney. Your sword did good work.
I know you, Aldrich Stonevale. You fought at the Blackwater. You gave Stannis King's Landing.
I did. I helped him breach fire and steel. Now I want to see justice done.
Justice? Do you even know what that word means? Too many claim it, too few keep it.
I offer you the chance to avenge your king, Renly Baratheon. I offer you Stannis' head.
Why would you betray your own king to avenge mine?
You misunderstand, my lady. I bend the knee to no man. I serve no throne. My oaths are my own.
What oath is that?
An oath to myself, and an offer to you. Be loyal to me as you were loyal to Renly, and I will deliver Stannis to you. Those lords who mocked you because of your sex will learn to fear the shadow you cast. I promise you justice and power over the men who scorned you.
They say you always keep your promises. You turned a hopeless squire into a true knight. Very well, Aldrich Stonevale. I will be your blade. After all, what else have I left to lose?
He gifted Brienne the legendary armor of Malenia, the goddess of rot, and it suited her perfectly. We then became a mercenary for the Reach. Our former enemies turned allies, so we could fight Stannis legally. After admiring the beautiful halls of Highgarden, we began dismantling Stannis' forces one by one. Then, right outside King's Landing, we found the king himself leading an army of 300. The plains before the capital burnt with dragonfire, Stannis' men screaming beneath Rhaegar's flames.
I was the rightful king, and that truth dies with me.
We took his sword, Lightbringer, and executed him with dragonfire.
Few men keep their oaths in this world. You did, Aldrich. For that, King Renly may rest at last.
With Stannis gone, Exel Florent rose as the new lord of the Seven Kingdoms, but our work here was done. We returned west, and during a tournament in Lord Hewitt's town, found another potential companion, Jaime Lannister. Oh, and we finally managed to beat Siabaa too. Anyway, Jaime asked Aldrich to join him inside the tavern for a private talk.
Sit, Giant. If the bench breaks, at least the innkeep will have a story.
Get to the point, Kingslayer.
Let's not be rude now. A Stark, a Greyjoy, a Hound, a lady in armor, 2 giants, and even a bloody dragon. Quite the company you keep. Might be enough to conquer a kingdom or 2.
Is that what you want? To conquer kingdoms?
Not kingdoms, just one. My home, the Westerlands.
Jaime Lannister, the Kingslayer and Kinslayer, has a nice ring to it.
I don't want you to kill them. Hear me. Joffrey's gone, Stannis too. But Cersei would claw and burn her way back to the throne. She'll drag whatever's left of her into ruin just to sit upon iron.
And you want me to stop her?
Take the Westerlands, break the Lion's pride, scatter their gold to the wind, leave her nothing to stand upon. Then she'll have no choice but to let go of crowns and thrones. She'll flee, she'll hide, and for once, perhaps she'll be a mother, not a queen.
You'd see your own house undone, so long as your sister and children breathe in peace.
My house has done more harm than good. Maybe it's time it fell. But Cersei, for all her madness, she's mine to protect. And her children. They didn't ask to be born into this game. They won't pay for our sins.
So you ask me to topple the lions, yet spare the lioness and her cubs. In return, your loyalty is mine.
Loyalty, that's a word I've worn poorly. But I, Giant, if you do this, my oath is yours. My sword, my counsel, my life, if need be.
Then Aldrich entered the market to buy Elden armor for Jaime. There, among the merchant's grim trophies, he found a decapitated wolf's head, which he handed to Jaime with a smirk. Quite ironic. After that, Aldrich ended his mercenary contract with the Reach and declared war on the Lannisters by attacking one of their lords. There was no need to obey the laws of Westeros anymore. Aldrich was the law and the judge. The Lannister lord's sentence was swift and final.
I asked you to take their lands, not their heads.
I promised the safety of your sister and her children, not mercy for a dozen cousins. Your wish was for Cersei to have nothing left to stand on. I'm merely clearing the board.
Then we began taking Lannister castles from the south. Their low militia numbers made each siege a breeze for our heroes to crush through. With every victory, Jaime strengthened himself with the blood of his own kin, though Brienne's accidental arrows made it a little harder than it had to be. Lannister lords came to answer our conquest one by one, and lost their heads one by one. Next was Sandor's home, Clegane Keep. The gates fell to Dragonfire, the men to Jaime's brutal swings. Then, Ygritte gave birth to Aldric's third child, another baby girl named Gilly. His first was Morse, the boy conceived when that lady in King's Landing's dungeon took advantage of him. It was time for the capital, Lannisport. Its garrison of 300 sallied out, only to be annihilated by Brienne, goddess of wrath, and the squad's rain of giant arrows. Inside the walls, a militia of 700 still stood. Rhaegar burned the gates again, and Jaime was forced to enter, clearing wave after wave with his giant club until sheer wounds dropped his tiny human body. Then, Brienne stormed in to finish the job, though it was hard to see anything past her enormous wings. Siabaa got jealous and shot her, just to hurt our eyes with his own giant wings instead. But in the end, the city was ours. We halted all city projects and poured everything into training militia. Without a garrison, they were our only hope to hold these lands. Every imprisoned lady in the dungeon was executed. Then came Tywin, the lion himself, marching with 500 men to reclaim his kingdom. His cavalry and infantry burned beneath Rhaegar's flames. Aldrich dismounted, cutting down archers with his superior speed and smaller hitbox. The battle was won, every prisoner executed. Tywin escaped with 2 horsemen, but we caught him before he got far. One volley of arrows, and the lion fell silent.
Do you imagine for a moment that this changes anything? My bannermen will avenge me. Kings and rebels have tried to destroy our legacy before and learned one simple truth. Lions do not yield. You are a dead man, Aldrich Stonevale. You are a dead man.
You speak truer than you know, Lord Tywin. You're free to go, for your son's sake. But I wouldn't advise crossing my path again.
Then it was time to take the Lion's Nest, Casterly Rock. Then came more battles, and more after that, each one humbling the Lions a little further. After claiming their western borders, we ran into Kevan Lannister's army. His archers actually managed to put up a fight, dropping Rhaegar to half health, but in the end, his forces were wiped out all the same. Eldrick chose to release Kevan, not only for Jaime's sake, but because the man was one of the few decent souls wearing red and gold. Yara Greyjoy was also spared, for Theon's sake. The rest turned to ash like the rest of their kin. Then we found Cersei and her army of 300 besieging Case. Our arrows tore through her troops, though, of course, Aldrich somehow ended up in the line of fire again. Battle was won with ease nonetheless.
Cersei, listen to me. You can't win this. Aldrich isn't just another warlord. He's a storm given flesh. He doesn't fight for gold or glory. He ends those who do. Leave this place, take the children, and run.
Run. I am Cersei Lannister, not some trembling widow from the Reach.
You don't understand. He's inevitable, Cersei. Every army that's faced him is gone, wiped clean as if they never were.
Spare me your poetry. You've already betrayed your blood for him. Tell me, does your new master reward you well for selling your family's crown?
I'm not trying to betray you. I'm trying to save you.
Save me. The only thing I need saving from is your weakness.
Then Cersei was thrown into the dungeons of Case, both to guarantee her safety and our own. Wouldn't want her pulling another wildfire stunt down there. Not long after, another scandal popped up, raising our criminal rating against the Lannisters, and in return, they sent 12 hired blades to take us out. We burned them like the jokes they were. Then it was time to clean up what was left of the Lannister fiefs to the east. After capturing Silverhill, Brienne and Sandor approached Aldrich for his blessing. Turns out the two human towers had fallen in love. Aldrich granted it without hesitation. Brienne was already pregnant after all. More battles followed. Our constant hunt and execution of Lannister nobles eventually wiped out Clan Kenning, the same family as Ansley Kenning, the lady from King's Landing's dungeon. She had married into another clan, but Aldrich's son, Mors, was still listed under her birth clan. With its destruction, he vanished too. The loss broke Aldrich's spirit, but there was still a war to win. With most of their husbands executed, Lannister ladies now took up arms themselves. After crushing their army, Marcella Baratheon was captured. Her golden hair and blue eyes reminded Aldrich of someone who made him very happy from long ago. Far from Jaime's and Ygritte's sight, Aldrich offered her freedom in exchange for licking his armpits. She accepted. Don't worry, she's 20. More armies came and fell. Kavan was released again. Tywin remained in chains, the rest were executed. Then we captured Stony Sepp. Two nearby Lannister castles were already under siege by the Riverlands and the North, making Storm's End their final fief. We marched there through the Reach while Cersei still quietly rotted in Case's dungeon. On the second day of summer, 303 AC, Sandor Clegane and Brienne of Tarth finally tied the knot. Aldrich cheered them from the back, like a proud owner watching his favorite pets breed. Then came the siege of Storm's End. They say Stannis once held this castle for a year against the Reach. Fortunately, he was far too dead to defend it now. Inside, we found Sir Davos imprisoned. He was released after the capture. Looking at the Bloodlust leaderboard, Aldrich had racked up 14,000 kills, while his companions hovered between 1 and 2,000 each. Meanwhile, in the north, the Night King had taken all Wildling castles, and in the east, the Mother of Dragons continued her fiery conquest. Of the two Lannister castles still besieged, the Riverlands managed to take one, but the north failed, so we finished their job. With the fall of Acorn Hall, the Westerlands were destroyed on the 7th day of summer, 303 AC.
Where are you off to, Kingslayer?
Thank you for seeing my wish done, Lord Aldrich, but I must see my sister and the children safe. I will take them to Essos, beyond this storm.
Do I have to remind you of your oath? Or do you mean to break another?
I know my oath. I do not mean to break it. I will still serve you in Essos. I can raise men there, a great host sworn to your crusade.
You think I would not have raised such an army if I wanted one? No, Jaime. I need you at my side, not as the head of a levy, but as a blade that does not rust.
Why despise armies so fiercely? They would make our work easier. Hold ground. Keep order.
Because armies teach men obedience where conscience should be. They raise cruelty to wear the mask of duty. Every banner becomes an altar. Every king a false god. They march not for justice, but for the hunger that festers in all men. Pride, power, possession. I will not feed that hunger, Jaime. I will starve it. I will tear down the thrones that breed it. Our cause is not to rule, but to cleanse, to strip mankind of its illusions, of order and worth. What meaning is there in replacing one crown with another? We would only become the disease we vowed to cure.
You make it sound noble, but what of your part of the bargain? My sister? My children?
Your blood will be safe. Come, join the others in the hall. Tonight, we take the next step. Let it be known, by this night the Declaration of Grey Mercy is proclaimed. This is no kingdom birthed for men to bow. It is a tribunal, an execution of sins, both mortal and divine. I claim no crown. I take the mantle of judge. You who stand with me, you are my instruments of justice.
Now, 22 kingdoms remain to be destroyed. Moments after the declaration of our tribunal, Volantis declared war. Too far to pose any real threat, Aldrich couldn't understand their reasoning. A few days later, the greatest betrayal of all happened. Robb Stark of the North declared war. After everything Aldrich had done for him, saving his life, gifting him lands, maybe Aldrich's crusade wasn't honorable enough for these fools. No matter, they would pay for their idiocracy. Even Benjen couldn't save them from Aldrich's wrath now. Moments later, the Vale declared war too. But the North came first. Their armies fell one by one, Northern lords executed, except those of House Stark. Aldrich still had a soft spot for them.
It must be the work of his venomous vassals,
he muttered.
They've poisoned Robb's mind with their whispers.
While crushing more armies, Aldrich found the mother of his first son, Ansley Canning. We had a total strength of 300 versus the North's 10,000. They attacked from every direction. With no garrison and no clans under our command, we needed a different way to protect our lands. First, we passed every law granting Aldrich more influence. Then, every law that boosted militia production. Those peasants were our only defense. Soon, the armies of the Vale and their massive cavalry began ravaging our lands. Their army of 1,000 proved too much, even for Rhaegar. But Aldrich, faster than a horse, stronger than a dragon, cleared the battlefield himself. Lords of the Vale shared the same fate as the North. Later, we found Robb Stark's wife, Mega Tyrell, besieging our town of Harroway. Aldrich challenged her to a duel. The honorable lady accepted, and Aldrich did what he does best, beating pregnant women. She was spared execution for Robb's sake and for the baby in her belly, but thrown into Harroway's dungeon. More and more battles followed against two great kingdoms. While we were busy with them, Braavos also declared war from across the world. Then Brienne gave birth to Sandor's child. We kept destroying enemy armies. They even sent assassins, as if they stood any chance. Lysa Arryn, Lady of the Vale, was captured and executed. More victories followed, but with countless armies still roaming, progress was impossible other than the executions. Realm of Thrones had far more clans and members than Calradica, so this endless grind led nowhere. After a bit more struggling with back and forth battles, we made peace with the North, 15,000 gold dragons per day, half our income, and turned all focus to the Vale. First, we besieged the Bloody Gate and destroyed every army that dared interrupt us. Then, the Lords of the Vale tried to blackmail us for 150,000 coins. Aldrich, obviously unbothered, refused to pay. More armies fell, more fortresses burned. Then Robin Arryn, the spoiled brat of Lysa, a new Lord of the Vale, was captured alongside his army of 500 and executed. Soon after, a lady with just 60 soldiers crossed our path. The balance of power was clearly in our favor, so Aldrich sent his companions to handle it without joining the fight himself. They lost, taking only 9 enemies down with them. I swear, auto-resolve is the worst feature in this game. Anyway, Aldrich cleaned up the remaining 50 himself. Next up, their capital, the Eyrie. The garrison sallied out, only to be scorched as always. Inside the gates, 700 militia waited, but unfortunately, the real Eyrie map wasn't added to the mod yet, so we had to settle for this vanilla-looking one instead. Then came their remaining lands. Our heroes were strong enough to take castles with under 200 defenders, as long as they didn't one-shot each other and force Aldrich to come in and finish the job. Lords of the Vale kept trying to retake their lands, but our heroes were too fast and crushed every attempt. The bloodshed was so constant that several clans went extinct. Then we crossed paths with Myrcella Baratheon again. She was quite angry at Aldrich for not visiting after their fun. Aldrich offered her a duel, beat her ass, and let her go.
You promised the safety of my children.
And I keep my word. I'm merely teaching her to stay away from the game.
More Vale armies and fortresses fell. Then Myrcella attacked again, this time leading the garrison of Galtown. They put up a fight, but were still defeated. Aldrich spared Myrcella once more and took the city. With the fall of Longbow Hall, the Vale was finally destroyed. On the first day of winter, 303 AC, Grey Mercy now stretched across 2 regions. To the north, the Night King hadn't advanced much, but in the east, Daenerys Targaryen was burning through the free cities of Essos with her dragons. And that would be our next stop. We sailed across the narrow sea with the same speed a vulture spots a corpse. Right as we left off, Aegon Targaryen made his move, invading Westeros. Now, to drop some lore bombs, this Aegon Targaryen is the book version, not Jon Snow. He is said to be the son of Rhaegar Targaryen and Ilya Martell, the baby supposedly killed during the sack of King's Landing by Gregor Clegane. However, according to Varys and Illyrio, the real Aegon was secretly swapped with another baby before the city fell. The impostor child was killed, while the true Aegon was spirited away across the Narrow Sea and raised in secret, and now he's here to take back his throne. Of course, there's always the possibility that this is all a lie, and he's just another random Blackfire bastard, but that's a problem for Westerosi. For us, the target was Braavos. 2 towns, 1 castle, and a war already declared. Easy pickings. First, we crushed their incoming armies and captured Rios. Then, the castle. Meanwhile, the Lords of the Stormlands had sworn fealty to Aegon Targaryen, leaving Axel Florent significantly weaker. We laid siege to Braavos next, wiped out their rallying garrison, and stormed the city. Unfortunately, the original Braavos map wasn't added to the mod yet. With the militia's fall, Braavos was destroyed on the 5th day of winter, 303 AC.
A man remembers a raven who begged to deny the gift he was given.
And the man tried to help the raven nonetheless.
A man made a mistake that day.
A man and a raven serve the same god. A man knows this, but a raven understands what the god truly is. While a man only worships the mask, all men must die.
And all men must serve.
Then a giant will make certain they do.
A giant is a corrupted one, beyond the reach of the many-faced god, beyond his gift.
Then perhaps the god should reach further.
Cersei was still safe and sound inside the Dungeon of Case, so Aldrich decided to stay in Essos a bit longer. The free cities were much easier to take compared to the kingdoms of Westeros, and seeing fewer enemies on the kingdom screen sounded like great motivation. We declared war on Lorath, and Sarnor declared war on us. After 2 quick sieges, Lorath was destroyed. Sarnor, though, was a different story, a sprawling kingdom across northern Essos. Their lands were easy to capture, but their armies felt endless, constantly returning to retake what we just conquered. And their horse archers were brutal. In one battle against 800 of them, Rhaegar was stunlocked by hundreds of arrows and dropped to 0 health in an instant, crippled for eternity. Now on foot, Aldrich swung his massive club over and over, clearing wave after wave of infantry. But the battlefield was still crawling with horse archers. One by one, our heroes fell. Everything now depended on Aldrich. With hundreds of arrows sticking out of his elden armor, Aldrich finally defeated every last one of them, his fingers aching from endless left clicking. Victory came at a cost. Rhaegar was now lame, his speed forever reduced. 9 Khans were executed. Then another free city joined the fray, Norvos. But we kept our focus on Sarnor. That's when the Riverlands declared war. Edmure Tully, another old friend, betraying us far earlier than expected. Even the Blackfish came to besiege our lands. We had no choice but to make peace with the Riverlands. 50,000 gold coins per day, literally all our profit. Then we turned back to the never-ending assaults from Sanor. But they were too many, too fast to catch. Another peace deal, another 35,000 coins gone daily. Finally, we turned our full attention to Norvos. With only 2 towns and 4 castles, they were far more manageable. While marching toward their last two castles, Daenerys Stormborn herself declared war. We captured one Norvos castle while the last was being besieged by Dawn's armies. Then, we found the Mad Queen leading 400 troops and her dragon. We rushed her before Jorah's army of 1,600 could arrive.
Are you here to bend the knee?
Instead of charging straight in, Aldrich held back with Rhaegar, firing giant arrows at Drogon. Just before the lines clashed, he brought the beast down, seconds before it could one-shot our entire warband. Then Rhaegar bathed the Unsullied in dragonfire. Aldrich dismounted and crushed the Dothraki with his giant club. The Mad Queen and her dragon were captured, and right before her eyes, Aldrich broke Drogon's will and made him his own. As you can guess, that made the Queen very mad. Aldrich claimed Drogon for himself and gifted the now lame Rhaegar to Podrick, his most trusted companion.
Lord Aldrich, I could barely swing a sword straight, and now I've got a dragon. I don't know what I've done to deserve this, but I'll serve you till my last breath.
We took Darksister from Daenerys and let her go, so she could bring her next dragon to us. Now it was time to deal with Jorah Mormont's army of 1,600. Alongside him were Daario Naharis, Grey Worm and Barristan Selmy, 650 Unsullied, hundreds of Dothraki riders, Giscari legionnaires. Truly an Avengers Assemble moment, all ready to avenge their queen's loss. Right before the battle, we learned our food stock had been poisoned, damaging all our heroes. They suspected Robb Stark was behind it. There was no time to heal, we had to charge.
If it's war you want, it's war you'll get. The dragons will fly, and the world will burn before the Targaryens fall.
First, Podrick and Rhaegar went in to crush the Unsullied, but the stupid fucker managed to get the dragon stuck between the trees. The eunuchs took full advantage, pelting Rhaegar with volleys of javelins until the beast fell. Podrick fought bravely, swinging his club, but he too fell moments later. Then Aldrich came, burning the Unsullied lines with Drogon's fire. He crossed the hill to face their next wave, but again, the Unsullied's javelins stun-locked Drogon in place. Aldrich dismounted before his new dragon could end up crippled like the last one. On foot, he smashed through shields and spears, all while Dothraki Horde's archers chipped away at his health from afar. One by one, every companion fell. Once again, Aldrich stood alone. Spears, lances, arrows, the air was thick with death. His health was dropping fast. He pulled out his bow and started creating distance, trying to save the last sliver of life he had left. Hundreds of Dothraki archers still surrounded him, peppering him with arrows. Aldrich kited the battlefield, dropping enemies one by one, but the reinforcements never stopped. Eventually, he ran out of arrows. Barely alive, he raised his club for one final, hopeless stand. With about 0.001% of his health remaining, the remnants of the enemy broke and fled. what seemed like the doom of Grey Mercy turned into its greatest triumph. Aldrich had slain 1,300 of the 1,600 enemies himself. Barristan Selmy, Grey Worm, Dario Naharis, Jorah Mormont, and 7 other captured lords were all executed, burned by Drogon's fire. In one day, the Mad Queen lost her favorite dragon and all her strongest allies. Though she was still pregnant, and her ironborn husband Thorim and their 3 children might keep her sanity together a little longer. Meanwhile, Volantis began seizing our lands. Dawn's armies took the last fief of Norvus, destroying the Free City entirely. We struck back at Volantis, wiped out their armies, and reclaimed our territory. I stopped executing nobles at this point, mostly because I was too tired of hearing the same sound effect over and over again. Besides, maybe keeping them as prisoners stops their clans from spawning new parties. Not sure, but it made sense at the time. Anyway, it was time to finish off Volantis. Their lands were close together, letting us push in one direction without constant backtracking, but their last fief, Illyria, was almost at the other side of Essos. We rushed there with haste, and with its fall, Volantis was destroyed on the 20th day of spring, 304 AC. Then it was time to deal with Tyrosh, who had already declared war on us. We crushed 2 of their invading armies, and by the way, their armor looks sick as fuck. Then, another sabotage from the north, a blackmail this time. Aldrich paid them 150,000 coins, hoping they'd finally leave him alone. While we marched toward the towns of Tyrosh, Axel Florent declared war on us. We captured Misafair, then besieged Tyrosh itself. During the siege, the Iron Islands also declared war. Anyway, with the fall of their capital, Tyrosh was destroyed on the 5th day of summer. Next up was Pentos, another small free city. 2 quick sieges later, they were gone, destroyed on the 7th day of summer. We made peace with Dragonstone after that, 30,000 coins daily. Yes, our tributes were stacking brutally, but since we never recruit clans into our kingdom, there's nothing else to spend the money on anyway. Up north, the Night's Watch was fighting valiantly against the Walkers. A Dothraki clan had even joined the Watch to aid them in their cause. I guess even horsefuckers can be noble at the end of the world. We also made peace with Daenerys, for now, to protect our lands while we dealt with the rest of the free cities. Speaking of which, we declared war on Sarnor again, this time to finish the job for real. After taking 2 castles, a messenger arrived with stunning news. The invasion of Daenerys Targaryen into Westeros had begun. 1 throne, 2 Targaryens, everyone at each other's throats, exactly what Aldrich wanted. Anyway, we continued our war against Sarnor. Looking back toward Westeros, Dragonstone and its surrounding towns had all joined Daenerys Targaryen, leaving Axel Florent clinging only to King's Landing and Duskendale. Meanwhile, Daenerys' eastern lands were reclaimed by Dothraki clans, except now they joined other kingdoms. One sided with the Riverlands, who had declared war on us, one joined Sarnor, and the largest Dothraki clan of all joined the fucking Night's Watch. Meaning, if we wanted their lands, we'd have to declare war on the Wall. And declaring war on the Wall makes you an enemy of the entire realm. Imagine the tribute payments, but that was a problem for later. We made peace with the Riverlands and refocused on Sarnor. Realizing how easily fiefless clans join other kingdoms in this mode, I started taking back the prisoners from our dungeons and executing them. But then I got sick of the sound effect again and just left them to rot. Our war against Sarnor was going perfectly, more than half their lands conquered. And then, something truly despicable happened. Gendry was murdered, viciously assassinated in his sleep. And by who? By the fucking North, by Robb, the honorable fucker. He wasn't just a legendary warrior with over 3,000 kills, he was our legendary blacksmith, the one who forged the giant weapons that made this entire crusade possible. One of the first 3 legends, by far the most useful, and the loyal soul Aldrich would never forget until his last breath.
Gendry. They killed him. I still can't believe it.
I share your pain, Podrick, and the North will pay for it. Every inch of frost and stone.
Sorry for questioning you, Lord Aldrich. But do you think all this bloodshed will be worth it? It feels to me we're just creating even more destruction in an already war-torn world.
War is not something men create, Podrick. It is something that creates men. Men are born for games, nothing else. Every child knows that play is nobler than work. But all games, whether by chance or by worth, reach for the same summit, war. For only in war does the wager consume the player. The stake swallows all, winner, loser, and the field between them. That's why they can't stop Podrick. Not the kings, not the peasants, not even the gods. They crave the only game where the price of losing is life itself. We are not here to feed that craving. We fight to smother it for the last war, the war to end all wars, to strip the world of its appetite for pain, for greed, for the endless game that men call destiny.
And you truly believe that can be done? That there can be an end?
You rode a dragon, Podrick. You saw the greatest beast yield to your will. Did you think that possible once? 10 men now stand against the world entire. Reality itself bends under our resolve. So yes, I believe we were chosen to break the wheel, even if it shatters us with it. It's hard, I know. But if we stop now, all this suffering becomes meaningless. So we march until meaning is forged from ruin.
We continued taking the remaining lands of Sarnor with a wrath that burns worlds. Meanwhile, the North kept trying to sabotage us, but with the fall of Yunkai, Sarnor was destroyed on the 8th day of autumn. Then Dorne declared war, but our focus was on the Yitai exiles for now. Their only town had just 200 defenders, all of whom fell without a challenge. Another enemy wiped out on the 12th day of autumn. All this carnage pushed Aldrich's kill count to 30,000. Podrick had 7,000, Siabaa 5,000, and the rest varied between 2 and 4,000. Then, of course, the North declared war again. Apparently, our tributes weren't enough. We made peace with Dorne for 100,000 gold a day, just to keep our lands safe. Then the Reach declared war. We turned our attention to a Qohorik clan with thieves, but no kingdom. Their colorful armor looked interesting, to say the least. We started taking their lands, but the Reach began besieging ours, forcing another peace deal, 50,000 tribute daily. One more castle later, all the Qohorik fiefs were ours. Brienne gave birth to another child of Sandor, and right on cue, the Iron Islands declared war. We paid the North 80,000 daily for peace and declared war on the Riverlands instead, to clean up their Essos holdings. After taking one castle, Daenerys declared war again. We took another town from the Riverlands. By this point, Aldrich had reached level 52, every combat attribute maxed at 10. One more castle later, we were forced to make peace with both the Iron Islands and Daenerys just to stop the endless sieges, barely avoiding bankruptcy thanks to all the taxes from our many lands. With one final push, we took the last Riverlands castle in Essos. Their holdings gone, we made a strategic peace and finally began our voyage back to Westeros. The North continued its petty sabotage, but before leaving Essos, we spotted Daenerys leading an army of 500, with yet another dragon, too juicy not to steal. We declared war and attacked. Aldrich claimed her dragon, Rhaegal, and gifted it to his wife, Ygritte. Then he executed Daenerys' husband, Thorim, with dragonfire. Then another random lady. Daenerys herself was released, widowed, furious, and down 2 dragons out of 3. Then Aegon declared war on us as well. We made peace with both Targaryens and declared war on the Riverlands to finish them off once and for all. Starting from Maidenpool, we captured their lands one by one. Finally came the siege of Riverrun. Its genius garrison decided to sally out, all slaughtered. Then came the walls and the militia. Riverrun was ours. After crushing more armies and taking their last 2 castles, the Riverlands were destroyed on the 19th day of winter. Then came an undead raven, carrying a message that called Aldrich beyond the wall. We accepted Dragonstone's peace offer and rode north, no threats left within our borders. Of course, Robb Stark declared war the moment we stepped into his lands. We ignored him and sailed past, crossing beyond the wall with our ships. Just as we approached Frostfang's camp, the free folk lost their last fief, destroyed on the 4th day of spring. We made peace with the north and entered Frostfang, bribing the White Guards with a few human prisoners to snack on. Inside the tavern, a White Walker waited for him, the frozen corpse of Jaqen H'ghar, now housing a different soul. Buffy, another legendary member of the channel Dungalot. Then the two stood face to face.
What are you doing up here? Why not just wait like you always do?
Wait? Oh, I tried, but watching you turn men into crimson farts got me all twitchy. The screams, the blood, it made my cock throb like a drum. Now it's frozen in place. Walking's a bloody chore.
What have you done to Jaqen?
Relax. I just gave him the gift he's been preaching since forever. He wanted to be no one, right? Well, mission accomplished.
If you don't have anything meaningful to say, I have to return to my work.
Meaningful? You wound me, Aldrich. I didn't crawl out of the abyss just to hear you grunt. Take me with you. The grand finale's coming. And you're marching like you've got a rod shoved where the sun don't shine.
I'm doing fine, thank you.
Come on, Moss Blood. You owe me a little fun after all the strings I've pulled for you, or have you forgotten who set the board for your little war game?
Fine. Maybe you could be useful. But don't ever call me by that name again. Brothers and sisters, I present to you our newest companion, Buffy the Grey Walker.
Are you out of your damn mind? A White Walker in our ranks?
Don't worry. His body may be turned, but his mind is intact. I believe he'll serve our cause well.
7 hells! This bloody party's getting more colorful by the minute.
We shouldn't judge anyone by their appearance. Welcome to our war band, Sir Buffy. It will be an honor to fight beside you.
The honor's mine, my lady. Let's spill some blood, shall we? Justice won't serve itself.
Then Aldrich persuaded Ygritte into polygamy and held a ceremony with Buffy so cursed that it bled the eyes of anyone who witnessed it. Unfortunately, this was the only way to get that walker into our party. We geared him up with some decent armor and set him loose against a few peasant whites wandering around. Instead of a giant club, he wielded a White Walker blade, faster, also capable of crushing through shields, but far less damaging. Objectively, the club was still better, but after tens of hours of smashing skulls with the same weapon, I needed a change. And since Buffy was undead, he only received 20% of all incoming damage, making him the strongest in the warband after Siabaa and Aldrich. After letting him rack up some kills, we marched to Driftwood Hall, a minor kingdom with just one castle. Their king wore some fancy Nordic-looking armor, but his army was starving. We captured him, stormed his castle, and let Buffy have his fun. Another small kingdom wiped from the map. Then we headed to Eastwatch, which now belonged to Axel Florent. We found the High Sparrow himself serving under Axel for some reason. After Buffy butchered his unarmored zealots, Aldrich burned the priest alive. Divine Justice, Westeros Edition. Next came the siege of Eastwatch. With the fortress in ruins, we began traveling south to finish off Axel once and for all. And along the way, we encountered Robb Stark.
After everything I've done for you, after all the blood I spilled for your north, you repay me with endless wars. You murdered my friend. Why?
You haunted my brother with your visions, broke his mind until all he does is whisper your name over and over.
Bran Stark, I have no hand in what a boy dreams.
And why should I trust you? All you've done since leaving my kingdom is murder and burn everything in your path.
Aldrich could have killed Robb right there and then, burned the entire north to ash. But no matter what happened, he couldn't bring himself to harm a Stark, so he turned south. After clearing out a few lords along the way, we marched on King's Landing. There were 2,000 defenders inside, but 900 of them, the garrison and their lords, foolishly sallied out to meet Aldrich. More armies came to intercept us. All were destroyed. Then it was time to face the 1,000 militia behind the walls. But these weren't your usual peasants. They were gold cloaks, fully armed and armored. This battle was destined to be legendary.
Careful you don't bleed that fine arse of yours, husband.
Now that we had the Iron Throne, we could send any lord to the wall, recruit the Kingsguard, even don Rhaegar Targaryen's armor or Robert's hammer. Though compared to our Elden and Giant gear, they were underwhelming. We couldn't recruit the Kingsguard because of the challenge anyway. And the wall was days away from being destroyed by the Night King. Then we found Axel Floron's army, and I finally understood how this bastard became a king. He had married Melisandre, though the Red Witch was long dead, died at childbirth in 303 AC. Guess the shadow baby came out a little too hard this time. Anyway, Axel's army was wiped out, and the wall fell soon after. Westeros was now truly fucked. The last castle of Axel Florent was under siege by the Reach, so we sailed back to Essos to take his final town instead, Draconis. With its fall, the forces of Dragonstone were destroyed on the 6th day of summer, 305 AC. Night King was continuing to press from the north. Our next objective was to answer Dorne. The bastards had expanded across Essos quite effectively. We destroyed their army and took Bolozov from them. With 20 clans under their banner, 9 towns and 19 castles, this conquest was going to take a while. In the meantime, the North declared war once again, while getting fucked in the ass by the Walkers. Robb's hate for Aldrich had no end. We destroyed a Dorne army of 1,600 during the defense of Mhysa Fair. 17 lords were captured and thrown into the dungeon. More castles taken, more armies answered. All the while, the North kept sabotaging us like rats. Brienne gave birth to the 4th child of Sandor, 2 massive lovebirds really putting in work. The Dorne conquest continued, 40 lords imprisoned, yet the unyielding brownies still kept coming back with more armies. We broke all their sieges, 50 prisoners now, including their king Doran Martell. Surely this would stop their endless counterattacks. Nope. Even the Blackfish had joined their kingdom. More and more of their armies fell, 60 lords imprisoned. Then, during the siege of Myr, something horrific happened. While Aldrich was half-watching inside Podrick to help him clear the walls, his base form accidentally released his giant bow and shot Sandor Clegane, killing him instantly. A hound to our warband, a husband to Brienne of Tarth, a father to 4 children with 1 more on the way, second of the first 3 legends, a mighty warrior with over 5,000 kills. And he was dead. By a fucking accident. Aldrich was overwhelmed with guilt, but there was no time to mourn. Dorne had to die. We captured more lands. Then, inside the Tavern of Volantis, we found Bronn of the Blackwater, a talented mercenary who doesn't ask questions. Exactly what Aldrich needed. We recruited him for 10,000 coins. He wasn't skilled in two-handed or bow, but was masterful with one-handed and crossbow. So we gave him a chariot, a crossbow, Oathkeeper, and an Elden Shield. Though no matter how expensive they are, those weapon types are always shit in Bannerlord, making Bronn by far the most useless member of our warband. More lands captured, more armies destroyed. The North continued their tricks, more battles followed. 80 prisoners now. Meanwhile, the Night King's destruction continued non-stop, reaching Carhold. Then it was time to take the castles around the Stepstones. While besieging Sunstone, Brienne and Podrick came to Aldrich for his blessing to marry. Though he hesitated, Aldrich granted their wish, simply so Sandor's children might still feel a father's love. After conquering Stepstones and Lys, we declared war on the Summer Isles, another small kingdom with only one fief. After the fall of Lotus Bay, they were destroyed on the third day of winter. Then came the massive fleet of Dorne. With this victory, we could finally march into the endless desert of Dorne. Our first target, Sunspear, their capital. More armies fell, more castles burned, and we continued marching deeper into the desert.
Never thought I'd see a desert in my life. It's majestic.
Glad someone's enjoying the view.
You don't?
No. The sun and I never got along. I prefer the cold silence of the moon, the purity of snow, the peace that comes with darkness.
I guess that's understandable.
After capturing Planky Town, Brienne and Podrick finally tied the knot. What a selfless young man he was, marrying a widow with 5 children just so they wouldn't feel lonely. And definitely not because he was after that succulent arse. Army after army, town after town, castle after castle, we painted the desert red. After 4 long hours of suffering, Dawn was finally destroyed on the 14th day of winter. Only 6 kingdoms remained. But there was no time to rest. Time for the next great kingdom, the Reach. With 16,000 total strength and 25 fiefs, they were a force to be reckoned with. And so began another endgame slug, a constant back and forth grind. 100 lords captured, sieges that never ended. So, I'll be passing the Reach quicker than Dawn, unless you want the video to be 10 hours long. Then we spotted their lord, Mace Tyrell, besieging one of our towns with 3,000 men behind him. Meanwhile, Brienne gave birth to the last child of her late husband Sandor. Mace Tyrell captured the town and left 1,000 men as garrison, keeping 2,000 for himself. We attacked his army. Wave after wave of Reachmen burned beneath Drogon's fire. 24 lords were imprisoned. Then we marched to retake our city. The garrison of 800 sallied out, all slaughtered. Then came the turn of the defenseless militia. But just as we left the town, tragedy struck once more. Another of our heroes had fallen. Theon Greyjoy, viciously assassinated, this time by the House Targaryen. Perhaps the Mad Queen was trying to avenge all her fallen allies we'd executed. At least he died as a man who racked up over 4,000 kills, far from the shadow of the Reek. It's a shame he'll never return to his Valyrian wife to raise their child together. Then again, he probably wouldn't have anyway. Meanwhile, in the north, Lord Varys was mysteriously turned into a White Walker. Then the endless cycle resumed. More sieges, more armies, more slaughter. After capturing Tumbleton, we sent a raven to Sereo Forel. It was said he was the greatest swordsman alive, and once the teacher of Arya Stark. The man had incredible skill with a two-hander and could sprint like a god, though his riding and bow work were, frankly, dogshit. So we gave him a giant club and threw him into the infantry beside Siabaa. Unfortunately, Brienne didn't seem to like the guy. She one-shotted him off the ladders in his very first battle. Then came the legendary siege of Highgarden, with its stunning design and impossible walls. Syrio got his goofy-ass Elden armor, and we took stock of our ever-bloodier tally. Aldrich had reached 42,000 kills, Podrick 11,000, Siabaa 9,000, Ygritte 8,000, and the rest between 6,000 and 5,000. Then came the final push. Another painful 3 hours later, the Reach was destroyed on the 16th day of summer, 306 AC. Looking at the map, Daenerys was dominating Aegon, taking most of his fiefs in the Stormlands. But unlike the Mad Queen, he still held a few strongholds in Essos. Meanwhile, in the north, the Night King had captured half the region. Even Winterfell had fallen. Our next target was the weakest of the 5 kingdoms left, the Iron Islands. With only 1 town and 3 castles under their rule, declaring war on Grey Mercy was about as smart as their last rebellion. With the fall of Lonely Light, the Iron Islands were destroyed on the 3rd day of autumn. Then we turned to our old frenemy, Robb Stark, to take back all the Iron Island fiefs we so generously gifted him. Just making sure every inch the Night King couldn't reach belonged to us. With the fall of Saltcliffe, the entire Iron Islands were united under our banner. There were still a few northern fiefs the dead couldn't reach, Sisterton and Mormont Keep, but we had to make peace to stop the 4 simultaneous sieges from the north. Yet, while we dealt with them, something worse was brewing. Daenerys Targaryen was becoming terrifyingly strong. Her kingdom now commanded 25,000 total strength, from wildlings to the free cities of Essos, from Stannis' house to the Cleganes to even the goddamn Cersei Lannister. All had bent the knee to her. If we didn't stop her now, she would only grow stronger, absorbing every homeless clan across the world. Then Brienne gave birth to another child by Podrick. This woman is so fertile, it's insane. Our first target was the castles and towns around King's Landing, but the moment we left them, vessels of the Mad Queen rushed to take them back. We ignored the scramble for a bit. Since we don't bother with siege engines and move faster with low numbers, I figured we could catch them by looping around the Crownlands. Then came the legendary siege of Dragonstone, the place where it all started. Dragonstone was taken, but Duskendale was lost. The enemy worked way faster than I expected. We destroyed their fleet of 600 ships, but more armies just kept pouring in. We started breaking their sieges, but new forces arrived faster than we could mop them up, costing us more land. We killed army after army, but it was impossible to be everywhere at once. Then we found Daenerys besieging Celtigar's keep with 1,300 men. We joined the defense. Aldrich leapt from the walls and met her unsullied head-on. The attackers started fleeing shortly after. Aldrich chased them to their camp, his unending fury painting their tents red. We took 37 prisoners in total. I started burning them, including Shireen Baratheon. Yeah, that's my bad. I guess some things always stay the same. Missandei was among the prisoners too, and for some reason she'd married Daario Naharis. Before we executed him, of course. Grey Worm must be rolling in his grave. This is one fucked up timeline. When the smoke cleared, Daenerys was the only one left. Even though she didn't use it in the siege, she still had a dragon. So Aldrich stole her last one, Viserion. Looking at the leaderboard, only 2 of the top 5 still didn't have a dragon. Siabaa couldn't ride one due to trash riding skill, so Viserion went to Jaime Lannister. There were still 50 plus prisoners rotting in our dungeons. We marched to collect them, and then burned them with Drogon. More armies came, more nobles were executed. We kept retaking our lands. Then we ran into another enemy fleet. Cersei Lannister was among the leaders. Their soldiers threw themselves into the sea when they saw Aldrich's might. Cersei was imprisoned by us once again. She was spared execution, again, thanks to her brother. Now she could spend the rest of her days arguing with Daenerys about who's more insufferable. We captured Hull, but the Crownlands were swarmed with enemy armies again almost immediately. After hours of murder sprees and well over 100 lords executed, you'd think their manpower would run out. It didn't. There was no end to them. We weren't just fighting Daenerys, we were fighting the whole bloody realm. I kept going anyway, smashing every army and executing every noble, no matter how young or pretty. Problem was, before I could wipe out a single clan, 5 more would join Daenerys. Now, over 40 houses had bent the knee. I swear, I tried my best, but there's no end to this war, guys. We can't out-conquer them. We can't out-execute them. The only thing left to do is wait for the biggest fish to arrive. And speaking of which, he had already arrived at the Twins. The entire north was frozen solid with death, so I took the only Targaryen town separated from the mainland, Eventfall Hall, and made peace with them afterward. Then it was time to do the same with the north. We took Sisterton, which actually put up quite a fight with its 900 strong garrison, and then Mormont Keep. By the way, I realized during our murder spree that we also killed Daenerys' second husband. We really are her worst nightmare. Next, we traveled to the Shadow Tower, which the Night King had left untouched for some reason. Declaring war on the Night's Watch obviously meant declaring war on the realm again, but since there were only 4 kingdoms left, that wasn't a big deal. We captured the tower and made peace with everyone. Our treasury was still more than enough to cover all the tribute payments. Then we traveled south again. On the road, we found the Night King's army, 4,000 undead. He gains +3 party size every single day. I wonder how big that thing will get by the end of the campaign. Anyway, we declared war on Aegon Targaryen and began taking his few remaining lands in Westeros, 3 castles and 1 town. After capturing all of them, we made peace with Aegon and set sail toward his holdings in Essos. On the way, Brienne gave birth to her second child by Podrick, now the mother of 7 children. Darn impressive. When we reached Essos, we found 3 of Aegon's armies stacked together. We declared war and wiped them out one by one. Then, after capturing Mantaris, we found King Aegon himself, his gleaming Targaryen armor a feast for the eyes. But what is a Targaryen without a dragon? His army was crushed, and Drogon burned the pretender to ash. Then came the turn of the Faith Militant, simply because of Aldrich's personal hatred. We continued to ravage their lands. On the 10th day of summer, 307 AC, the kingdom of Aegon Targaryen was destroyed. Looking again at the bloodthirsty rankings, Aldrich 50,000 kills, Podrick nearly 20,000, Jaime 14,000, Siabaa 12,000, Ygritte 11,000, Buffy 9,000, Brienne 8,000, Benjen 7,000, Syrio 1,500, and Bronn still sitting there empty-handed like a clown. Next, it was time to finally finish off the Night's Watch and the Essosi lands they had stolen from us. While we were at war with them, we couldn't make peace with any other kingdom, so this had to be done fast, before the North or Daenerys started expanding into our territory. On the 14th day of summer, the Night's Watch was destroyed. We then made peace with both the North and Daenerys, together totaling 90 clans under their rule. After that, Aldrich returned to Meereen and rested inside its gorgeous pyramid before traveling back to Westeros once more. His destination was neither the north nor the lands of the Mad Queen, but Old Town. It was already a wealthy city, boasting 12,000 prosperity, but Aldrich was determined to break the record for the highest prosperity in Westerosi history. First, he began new projects for orchards and aqueducts. Second, he abolished every policy that reduced prosperity or loyalty. And third, he summoned the greatest governor alive, Tyrion Lannister. The two intellectuals started to get along quite fast.
You can't imagine the pleasure I feel, finally sharing company with a competent mind.
The feeling's mutual, my friend. You're the first king I've actually enjoyed serving.
I am no king, Tyrion.
Then forgive me, you're not a kingness?
You know, this city, Old Town, holds a very special place in my heart. I walked these streets long before you were born. The first time I saw the Citadel, I nearly suffocated from excitement.
And what business did you have in the Citadel?
Believe it or not, I was a maester once. Or rather, was training to be.
Truly, I've read of eccentric maesters, but never a giant among them.
Let's just say my time there was erased from the ledgers.
You said you were training to be. What stopped you?
They didn't like what I believed lay beyond reason. The Citadel prefers books that close, not doors that open. Anyway, enough of the past come. Let's get back to work.
The following days were spent clearing nearby hideouts and helping the people of Old Town with their problems. Then we stayed inside the city, supporting its projects, spending time with our children and creating new ones. Many noble ladies visiting Old Town tried to approach Aldrich for lustful purposes, but he refused them all. His eyes could only see Ygritte. Well, except that one time with Myrcella. Then a man appeared who looked exactly like our hound, and even had the same name, Sandor Clegane. This wasn't his hound. What was happening? Was Aldrich going mad, or was this some trick of the faceless man? He couldn't be bothered. He had a whole city to develop. Both Brienne and Ygritte kept working their bellies. Aldrich now had 2 boys who could one day grow into giants. But would there even be a future? That was the question, as the Targaryens and the North weren't the Night King's only enemies. He was destroying our lands as well. Many more nobles had become one of them, including Uncle Blackfish. Unbothered, we kept clearing bandit hideouts around Old Town.
My lord, the ravens bring terrible news. The Night King has taken the Vale, and most of the Riverlands, the people, all of them, turned. If we don't act now, there'll be nothing left to save.
For the last time, Podrick, this is not a kingdom. You saw the Mad Queen, as I did. Every traitor of the realm now kneels before her. We are not strong enough to face her head-on. Let the dead wear her army down first.
But my lord, Daenerys Targaryen, mad as she may be, still breathes. The Night King does not. She may enslave the world, but he will end it.
Then let him. Better to die as men than to live as cattle beneath those who call themselves divine. I'd rather the world freeze than bend its knee again.
My lord, I don't think I can stand by such a choice.
Then don't stand, Podrick. Sit, drink, hold your wife. Watch your children laugh while you still can. The walls of Old Town will hold. Let that be your peace. For once in your life, think not of others, but of yourself. That's an order.
As you wish, my lord.
So, our heroes spent the next few years chasing every pleasure life had to offer within the safe walls of Old Town, occasionally venturing out to clear a few bandits. Time flew like butterflies. On the last day of winter, 309 AC, the final fortress of the North fell to the Night King. But not everything was going according to plan. In the year 310, Ygritte gave birth to a child, Benjen Stark's child. Both had betrayed Aldrich, his heart filled with wrath. He disposed of the child, but he could harm neither a Stark nor his little flame of the North. So he made Benjen swear never to betray his trust again and spared him from execution. While everyone else was lost between drama and pleasure, Tyrion was chasing something entirely different.
You'll drive yourself mad before you find whatever ghost you're hunting in those pages.
I need an answer, brother, and I won't stop until I have one.
What happened to the brother I knew? You were the god of tits and wine, not parchments and back pain.
This isn't a joke, Jamie. You've heard the rumors. That Stark boy, losing his wits with visions of Aldrich's face. Varys came to me, said he wanted help uncovering who Aldrich Stonevale truly was. A week later, he vanished. When they found him, he was pale as snow and his eyes blue as death. Tell me this, Chance.
What you're saying sounds suspicious, but suspicion isn't proof. After all that reading, surely you found something solid.
He once told me he studied at the Citadel, yet there's no record of any Aldrich in their archives. What I did find, though, was mention of his house, Stonevale 10,000 years ago, said to be born of forbidden unions between the children of the forest and the first men, creatures of both magic and flesh. They wielded the children's sorcery and the cunning of men.
You're telling me the first men were so lonely they started fucking trees. Gods, I hope those things didn't have bugs inside them.
Focus, brother. When the Andals invaded, they called such blood heresy, burned every last Stonevale alive in the name of their seven, wiped them from history. But what if not all of them died?
You said they were crossbreeds of the first men and the children of the forest. Even if we accept the possibility of him being the son of tree fuckers who went extinct 6,000 years ago, why is he a giant instead of some wooden abomination? It's madness, brother. How come there are ladies waiting downstairs and they aren't made of roots and wood?
Perhaps you're right. My body could use some action, and my mind a little less.
Looking at the Night King's clan, his walkers had taken heavy casualties, but plenty of new ones had joined in their place. Even Robb Stark had become a White Walker. Considering everything he'd done to Aldrich, that's what I'd call divine justice. More peaceful seasons passed, aside from a few assassination attempts that never stood a chance against Aldrich anyway. But during the year 310, something outrageous happened. Syrio Forel, that arrogant fool, had the nerve to ask for my blessing to marry my wife. The man was a disposable warrior with barely 1,700 kills, couldn't use a giant bow, not a Stark, not even remotely in the same league. Aldrich challenged him to a duel. Winner gets the redhead. Obviously, Syrio's water dancing didn't save him. He was dead in seconds. 10 became 9 once again. Aldrich didn't even bother to find a replacement. Afterward, he returned to Ygritte, forgave her, and they made wild, fiery love. Meanwhile, the Night King was creeping ever closer to the lands of Daenerys Targaryen. Then came a child for Jaime, born of a Dornish lady, then another for Bronn. This one from a woman of the north. Seasons passed, more assassination attempts, none successful. By 311 AC, the Night King had brought winter to King's Landing itself. We, on the other hand, continued our carefree life. Old Town had finally reached 20,000 prosperity, the highest I have seen in over 8,000 hours of Bannerlord. Then Benjen found himself a lover, another northern lady. A few weeks later, he came to Aldrich asking for his blessing to marry. Aldrich gave it, but then Benjen came back again, asking for another marriage. Aldrich refused.
Be content with one woman,
he told him.
Greed leads only to ruin.
Then came the day of the ceremony, and the woman standing beside Benjen wasn't the northern lady at all, but a Dothraki. She had joined his clan now, Aldrich's heart filled with regret, but it was too late. A few days later, the Dothraki woman gave birth to Benjen's child, and a few weeks after that, the northern lady did too. He was no longer Benjen Stark, he was Benjen Sin's father of all flowers and snows. More children came, and the existing ones grew bigger and bolder, but peace never lasts. Bran of the Blackwater was assassinated by the forces of Daenerys. 9 became 8. At least we lost the 2 most useless ones first. The Night King had finally reached the Stormlands, the territory of the Mad Queen herself. We waited for him to finish his grim work, but even for him, the Stormborn's vassals were tough to deal with. Meanwhile, Brienne had given birth to 14 children, and the 15th was already on the way. Bloody hell, woman. Looking at Robb Stark now, he was still walking, pale-skinned, blue-eyed, and utterly corrupted. But then something truly horrific caught my eye. After becoming a walker, Robb had taken Catelyn and Sansa as lovers, his own mother and sister. Checking Catelyn's Encyclopedia, she wasn't just with Robb, she'd been with Bran, and even Rickon. And as for Sansa, well, at least she'd spared Rickon. I guess the end of the world awakened the Targaryen urges inside the Starks. Speaking of Targaryens, it was finally time to finish their bloodline once and for all. After 6 long years of peace, Aldrich left Old Town and rode toward the Stormlands, while Tyrion still wandered the archives.
There once was a boy of Stonevale, young and kind, whose blood carried both the first men and the children of the forest, sent south by the lords of the north as a gesture of peace to the Hightowers. He carried neither sword nor pride, only his hunger for knowledge and his will to heal. Old Town opened its gates to him. The citadel, though uneasy at the boy's devotion to the old gods, could not deny his gift. With hands guided by the secret arts of the children, he mended the broken, cleansed the sick, and gave succor to the poor. He asked for nothing, yet all men, maesters and commoners alike, revered him. His heart was as open as his mind. His kindness spread across every alley and square of Old Town, unseen by no one. Yet the world is cruel, and the Andals came. Like a black tide, they swept across the land, burning sacred groves, hunting the children of the forest, and striking down any who bore the blood of old magic. Old Town, once a city of learning and light, bent first to their will. The Hightowers, eager to appease their new masters, delivered the boy of Stonevale into their hands. The fires were kindled, and the streets of Old Town were filled with the eyes of the terrified and the curious. The boy did not scream. He spoke, his voice calm as a winter river. Me, my blood, we only helped you. We healed you from the deadliest plagues, soothed the sick, comforted the lost. Yet you betray us, all of you. While these invaders destroys the power that sought only peace, you sit in silence. But know this, I will return. And when I return, your silence will be eternal. Your fire shall become ice. Your cities shall crumble. And humanity shall pay for all its sins. And with that, the soul of the boy departed his mortal frame. The crowd watched in awe, yet there was no sound save for the crackling of the flames. The song of Mossblood had begun, written in blood and fire, but whispered in silence. Maester Gimli of the Citadel. Gimli, isn't that the drunk bastard who gave Aldrich his first dragon?
Aldrich had finally reached the lands of Daenerys. She held only 3 castles, but nearly every noble house from both Westeros and Essos had sworn allegiance to her. The small region of her rule was overflowing with armies, banners packed shoulder to shoulder. We caught a cluster of stacked forces and declared war. Army after army fell beneath us. Then came the siege of Griffin's Roost. With only 500 defenders, it didn't take long to capture. After cutting down more armies, we moved on to the second castle, which offered little more resistance. Only one remained. But before we could reach it, Daenerys herself rode out to stop us, leading an army of 700, all of them burned beneath the very dragons that once belonged to their mad queen. 91 clans now stood under her banner. Aldrich released her, a final gesture of mercy before the inevitable end. But just as we were preparing to besiege her final stronghold, her vessels united for one last stand. A total of 2,600 men, their lines stretching as wide as the narrow sea itself. Jon Snow, Corin Halfhand, Tommen Baratheon, Oberyn Martell, Davos Seaworth, Salat Horsan, and 90 other commanders, all ready for battle. The battle lasted over 13 minutes, and then the game crashed, probably because it couldn't handle the sheer number of captured lords. So, we did it again. 123 lords were imprisoned in our party. More armies came and fell. At last, we laid siege to her final castle. Its garrison of 500, along with the noble parties inside, over 1,000 men in total, sallied out in desperation. They were all scorched beneath dragonfire. With no defenders left, the militia fell in minutes. On the 6th day of summer, 313 AC, the kingdom of Daenerys Targaryen was destroyed. No other kingdom remained outside the tribunal of Grey Mercy, neither in Westeros nor Essos, but most of Westeros was still not truly under our control. And one threat remained, a threat Aldrich had long ignored: the Night King.
So you're telling me you found the elixir of immortality 6,000 years ago and simply decided to keep it to yourself?
I to spare the world the curse of overpopulation. Think of it, my small friend. An eternity of taverns running out of ale, a horror I could not allow.
Very noble of you, especially since it means you alone get to drink forever. Come now, Gimli, what's a little immortality between friends?
Ha! If it were so simple. The elixir wasn't found in a vial or a chest of gold, but within me. It runs through my balls. Heart gift, heart punishment. To share it, one must drink of my seed.
You're joking, right?
Only if you aren't down for it.
7 hells, you disgusting pig.
Sorry to disappoint, friend, but immortality isn't mine to share. I thought it a blessing once. But immortality only stretches your regrets into eternity.
And yet, here you are, still drinking like a man with plenty of tomorrows.
Because there's little else left to do. And besides, the world won't last long enough for me to grow sober.
I know what you mean.
You do? How?
I found your song, the Song of Mossblood, deep in Old Town's archives. I know what Aldrich is, Gimli, but not how he lived past his own pyre.
Ah, so the book found its reader. Just so you know, I'm only telling you this 'cause I like you. Wench, bring us every ale you've got. This tale won't be told on a dry throat. You know the Stone Vales, right? The crossbreed of the first men and the children of the forest. Their blood carried magic beyond any sorcerer's dreams, and Aldrich, he was a warg so gifted that no Stark could match him. Before the fires took his body, he warged into a raven. No one knew, of course. No one but me. I was his only friend left in the Citadel. He became my companion, my pet even. Together, we searched for a way to give him a new human vessel. We studied every forbidden art, every lost age of magic. That's how I found my own immortality. But a warg possessing a man? Impossible. Every attempt ended the same. Two minds devouring one another. Centuries passed. Aldrich possessed one creature after another. Ravens, direwolves, beasts of the wild. He devoured every man who crossed his path. Driven by endless rage, he fathered thousands of beasts. You could say he lay with Mother Nature herself. Each new form made him more savage, more feral. And yet, somewhere inside, the blood of the children kept him from losing all that he was still. With every passing age, I watched the kindness in him rot away. I tried to help him, gods know I did, but there's only so long a man can fight a curse older than the world. After centuries of failure, I gave up. I drowned my years in ale, dice, and women, but Aldrich, he never stopped. From the House of Black and White to the cursed wargs of the North, he hunted knowledge. None could give him what he sought. Until one night, something found him, a being beyond gods and men. Some call it the Great Other, some the Lord of Darkness. He preferred something far simpler, Buffy. He offered Aldrich the body of a giant and vengeance beyond measure. All he asked in return was simple, to keep the realm of men divided and weak against the coming darkness. As one last kindness to my friend, I gave him a dragon, and Aldrich played his game, ensuring the kingdoms of men would never stand as one.
You helped him destroy our world. Why?
What was done to him was wrong, but I didn't help him out of hate for mankind. I did it out of love for my friend. Then in time, I gained perspective. At first I feared death. After 500 winters, I feared memory. Then I just feared running out of ale before the next century. Nature has an order, my friend. Humanity has none. We are the fire that consumes the forest, nothing more. When the last ember dies, the world will breathe again.
And what gives you and Aldrich the right to decide the fate of millions?
Power, my friend. Power gives all the right there ever was.
Then you're mad. If you wish to end yourself so badly, I suggest jumping to the narrow sea. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a world to save.
Where are you going? Your ale's not finished.
Next, our heroes laid siege to King's Landing, determined to wrest it from the Night King's grasp. First, we crushed the garrison that sell it out, then dealt with the 70 wights lurking inside the walls. Finally, we stormed the Raid Keep itself. 400 more wights fell within its cursed halls. The capital was once again under the banner of Grey Mercy.
Now that we've taken back King's Landing, it's time to finish off the Night King, right?
Not yet. We need him to come to us.
But millions will die while we wait.
I know, Podrick. And I'm truly sorry it must be this way.
Enough of your apologies. You can stop pretending now, Aldrich. I know who you really are.
I should have known. Nothing ever stays buried when you're around, friend.
Sandor, my love, he died believing in you, and all this, all of it, was just to destroy our world, to doom our children.
We trust man-giant, thought and friend. Now heart-hurt, worse than club-it.
You lied to me, Aldrich. You made me defile every oath I swore.
First time?
I didn't lie to you, Benjen. Lying is your kind's craft, not mine. I always spoke my truest thoughts. You simply refused to listen. All of you were too blinded by power, by revenge, by love. You never stopped to question me.
My lord, you leave us no choice but to betray you.
Don't worry, Pod. I'm used to betrayal. That's what mankind does best. Betray their saviors, betray their own, betray the very earth that feeds them. They burn forests, poison rivers, slaughter the beasts that once walked beside them. From mammoths to direwolves, from dragons to giants, mankind devoured all that was sacred. And now you ask me to believe they'll change. No, I've seen the past, and I've seen what's yet to come. Your future is even bloodier than your history. There's no cure for the rot at humanity's core. I loved you, all of you, my brothers and sisters in arms. But the world is freezing for a reason. It's purging the parasite that's been feeding on it for thousands of years.
You can still stop this, Aldrich. I learned your story. I know who you were. Good, kind, selfless. Centuries of warging have twisted your mind, but that goodness, it's still there. What they did to you and your kin was monstrous, but this isn't the way. You can still come back. You can still be good.
Aye, you're not a monster. There's warmth in you. I felt it. And so have our children. Come back to us, Aldrich Stonevale. Come back home.
You know nothing, Ygritte.
All our heroes drew their weapons before the gates of King's Landing. Buffy had already vanished before things escalated. 6 legendary warriors stood against 1, Aldrich Stonevale. Siabaa loosed his giant arrows toward Drogon, trying to bring Aldrich down. Even a dragon could only endure so much. Drogon fell, and Aldrich stood, now on foot. But a grounded Aldrich was even more dangerous. Brienne raised her massive club and charged, horse thundering beneath her. One arrow from Aldrich was all it took. She fell. Then Benjen drew his bow, his shot knocking Aldrich to the ground. The two clashed, club against club. 2 crushing swings from Aldrich ended Benjen's stand. Aldrich turned and struck down Rhaegar, Podrick's dragon, and moments later, Podrick himself. Siabaa kept firing, but Aldrich's arrows found him again and again. Then Jaime charged atop Viserion. The beast fell first, and the Kingslayer followed. Ygritte, heart-torn between love and duty, positioned her dragon and unleashed Rhaegal's fire from maximum range. Flames consumed Aldrich Stonevale at last. There was no triumph in her eyes, only sorrow. And Siabaa mounted Rhaegal. With a fire strong enough to burn cities, our heroes executed Aldrich, ending his Crimson Crusade. But their work was not done. The Night King was marching toward King's Landing to reclaim his frozen throne, 6,000 undead behind him. He had 300 skill in every art, even medicine, doubling his army's health. Maximum battle size. The stage was set. When the smoke cleared, Siabaa was the last one standing, a sliver of health left, 3,000 kills to his name. But one enemy remained, the Night King himself. The long night had ended, the army of the dead was destroyed, the lands once conquered by the Night King fell to scattered bandit factions. Then Jon Snow declared himself king in the north. Good luck taking all those lands back alone.
Where will you go, Ygritte?
Anywhere but here. My husband is dead, and this city, it's nothing but ash and ghosts to me now. I'll take my children somewhere far, somewhere untouched by crowns, wars, and men's ambitions.
But the realm still needs you, sister. Chaos breeds quickly. The small folk need guardians like you.
The Night King is gone, Benjen. Let someone else play hero. I'm done fighting.
Then I'm coming with you, protecting his wife and children. That's the least I can do for him.
What? You'd abandon me? And our children? Podrick, you can't.
You still feel loyalty to him after knowing what he truly was?
Aye, because even knowing what he became, he was still the greatest man I ever knew. Without him, I'd still be no one. Take care of each other. The world's not as fixed as it looks.
Thank you, Podrick Payne. The ship sails tonight.
Now that great danger gone, dragons not needed for war. We should lock them here, safe, deep under stone, like Targaryens once did. Protect small folk, so they don't end up as dragon breakfast.
Huh. That's the smartest thing you've ever said, Giant. Wait, since when did you become this smart?
War change everyone, Kingslayer. Even beasts learn wisdom when blood stops falling.
He's right. We can't risk the lives of the people we swore to protect.
Then it's settled. Let's get to work.
You fools truly believed you'd rid the world of me so easily.
What in the seven hells are you talking about, Siabaa?
I'm not Siabaa. I am the judge. His mind fought well. A stubborn creature, that one. But in the end, all things I warg bow to my will.
Knew there was something off about you. Should have trusted my gut.
Enough talk. Prepare to meet your doom.
Well, that was anticlimactic.
Aldrich had watched into Siabaa's body before his execution. Yet the heroes prevailed once more. Jaime raised a Valyrian executioner's axe and severed the head of the great beast. The Kingslayer became a king at last, with Brienne and Benjen as his most trusted vassals. As the seasons passed, the wounded houses of Westeros and Essos came one by one to bend the knee to King Jaime Lannister. Just like all the realms before it, the Grey Mercy too had become a kingdom of nobles and crowns. But there was a problem. The bandit factions still ruled vast stretches of land. No one could siege them. I asked Discord for help again. Turns out, it was a bug. AI didn't recognize bandit lands as siegeable. So, I intervened once more to set the world right. I created 2 new kingdoms for bandits. One in the south, Dogs of War, ruled by none other than Peter Baelish, and one in the north, Pigs of the North, ruled by Locke, the man who once butchered Jaime's hand in the show. Years passed, even Daenerys and Cersei bent the knee to Jaime, though Cersei bent other things too. Some houses, however, sided with Baelish and Locke, prolonging the war for years. Still, no one could stand forever against our heroes and their 3 dragons. Meanwhile, Aldrich's children kept coming of age. The Dogs of War resisted fiercely in the Westerlands. While the Pigs of the North joined the fray to slow down Greymercy's advance, their defiance was admirable, but futile. The Dogs of War were destroyed in 331 AC. 5 years later, the Pigs of the North met the same fate. From beyond the wall to the Dothraki Sea, every land was now united under one king, Jaime Lannister. He was 70 years old, Brienne was 61, Benjen 65. Their reign had lasted 23 years, but it was nearing its end. A restless soul had risen from its grave, Aldrich, still trapped within Siabaa's body, headless yet driven, shrouded in cursed abyssal mist. Once more, he rode forth on his crimson crusade. He hunted the 3 traitors who had decapitated him. First came Benjen Stark, found wandering the deserts of Dorne.
So this is my fate then, hunted by the ghost of my judge.
Benjen's execution marked the beginning of Aldrich's revenge. Next came Brienne of Tarth, standing defiant on the green plains of Essos. But mercy was long gone.
Please, Aldrich, if there's still a spark of the man you were, spare the children. Let your wrath end with us.
She too met the kiss of Aldrich's axe. Finally came Jaime Lannister, high in the snowy hills of northern Essos.
If you were the righteous and we the wrong, then why are we the builders and you the destroyer?
Silent and relentless, Aldrich severed the head of the king's lair. His widow, Jane Swan, now 92 years old, inherited the throne of Greymercy. But Aldrich cared little for thrones. His purpose was not yet fulfilled. Voyaging from beast to beast, he searched the lands for his wife, his flame, his betrayal, his last tether to life. Deep in the western woods, he found her, Ygritte, surrounded by Podrick and many more strong figures preparing to leave the continent.
I told you, Podrick. As long as you drew breath, I cannot die. And yet, you betrayed me.
You left me no choice, my lord.
What's that? Defiling Sandor's memory wasn't enough. Now you're lying with my wife as well.
No, my lord. It's not like that. I was trying to protect.
If you've come to kill us, then do it. But don't dare insult my loyalty.
Your loyalty still as amusing as when I left you. Who are these people? Here to warm your bed too.
Can't you recognize them? These are our children, Aldrich. Look how beautiful your daughters have become. All with children now. You've become a grandfather, Aldrich. And look at your son-in-law, a true Valyrian blood, silver hair and all. And your sons, Wat and Joseph. Giants, just like their father. Together, you and I, we resurrected a lost race.
This changes nothing, Ygritte.
Can't you see what you're refusing to see? Has your mind turned into a graveyard of hatred and bloodlust?
Once you said I was blind because my eyes could only see the light. But it seems now the darkness is all you can see, my lord. You are as blind as I ever was.
What's this, Aldrich? Growing soft? Losing your purpose over a few pups who learn to walk? Remember the pact. You owe me everything. Now, I demand the heads of your children as my trophy of loyalty.
Or what? You'll kill a dead man?
No. I'll devour your giant carcass, shit out your remains, and strangle your whelps with it. Don't forget who the master is, Aldrich.
Master? I have no master. You were always at the end of my list. Should have put you first.
What's happening, my love?
My lord, can you hear us?
A darkness deep as the abyss swallowed the world whole. For a moment, there was nothing, no sound, no light, until the creaking echo of every bowstring snapping one by one. When the sun rose again, snow blanketed everything. Aldrich's party was 10 once more, but what stood before them was no mortal foe. Buffy, in his true form, freed from his broken pact. A towering monstrosity with 3 burning red eyes, an abyssal armor blacker than death, and a body twice the size of Aldrich's. He had 100,000 health, 3,000 in every skill, and the strength of a god unbound. Like the others before him, he carried a massive club. but no mortal weapon could match the fury of his blows. There were no ranged weapons, no escape, no mercy. Death rate maximized. The battle, pure brutality. Everyone moved so fast that I had to slow the game to half speed. With the first swing of Befi's club, one of Aldrich's daughters was crushed to dust. Aldrich circled around the behemoth, striking from behind, chipping away at the very embodiment of death itself. Befi staggered, his health bar nearly gone. Aldrich charged one final time to end the darkness forever. The Crusader was gone. Befi's bargain was complete. He sank back into his sunless dimension, to heal, to wait, until another champion dared summon him again. When the snow settled, Aldrich was dead. All his children had fallen, except for his two daughters, both named Frenya. For reasons lost to memory, Podrick and Ygritte also survived. The next morning, Ygritte was captured by bandits. She escaped, only to find the remains of her family. She burned their bodies one by one, her final act of love. Then she set out to find her surviving daughters. Meanwhile, in the capital, the Lords of Grey Mercy welcomed Podrick Payne with open arms. Once a humble squire, he had become a legend, carved into the marrow of history. His name made men spit in fear and women whisper in awe. He was the Payne who rose higher than kings, the last light of a dying age. Now, he was king of Grey Mercy, but the crown was no reward, only a burden. He knew death would return, maybe as a new army of walkers, maybe as plague, maybe as a whisper turning brother against brother. But Podrick would remain, to protect, to unite, to lead, to wield his great club against any threat to mankind. Because if death is inevitable, then so is life, and so is the struggle. By his side stood Tyrion Lannister, mysteriously unchanged, as if time itself had grown fond of his company.
I will dine and wine until the end of time,
he kept saying. Meanwhile, far from the wars and ruins, Ygritte found her peace. After reuniting with her daughters and grandchildren, she discovered a hidden sanctuary, a quiet mountain community led by a man named Brother Ray. There, within a vast cave above the clouds, she laid down her weapons, her crown, and her past. No more blood, no more fire, only serenity. And so, after more than 2 months of late nights, our story ends. Here are the stats, if you're curious. As you might have guessed, this campaign was heavily inspired by Blood Meridian and Netflix's Castlevania. I also want to thank all my channel members and apologize to NicoAdelit3 for not including your name in the campaign. The gameplay was already recorded when you joined, but I promise you'll have a major role in the next one. If you enjoyed the video, you can support the channel in any way you see fit. Anyways guys, see you in the next one.